the purpose of our organization of Afro-American Unity, which has the same aim and objective to fight whoever gets in our way and bring about the freedom of these people by any means necessary.
Yeah, new Malcolm X. By any means I learned from what I seen, had a dream till it turned to a nightmare. Martin Luther the King without a queen, Nah I mean, still shine in the front of the hood like high beams, yeah I mean. It seems I'm as great as a god. They say I'm the bomb, I got a date with Saddam. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. Cooking turkey bacon, but I don't pray to Allah. Nah, die for it all or live for something. Shit can get disgusting within this discussion. Fuck it, would you risk your life for what you believe in? The world is cold, at least you wasn't anemic. They wanna kill me mid-speech, afraid of my truth. A few real niggas left, they hate that I'm proof. My value on demand, niggas can't ignore it. And if you can't buy it twice, then you can't afford it. See, I'm the man of all this real shit these niggas is claiming. They physically free, mentally living in cages. Pray for 'em. New Malcolm X. By any means, I learned from what I seen, had a dream, till it turned to a nightmare. Martin Luther the King without a queen, nah I mean.
By any means, yeah that I mean. In the coop, my Miss Coretta Scott theme, and I swear I had a dream. I had a dream, but it was not like that, they king. I know their life is pie, I'm a tiger, I'm pissing on you clowns, swimming up a scene. Drunk, pray to God, don't drown. I'm Mr. $1, ain't got a dollar in my pocket. Pick up coin at the gravel, long travel road. I suppose I expose myself through the music, talking execution moves I do, kick dumb flips, somersault, mastermind when the kill spring, then somersault, summer assault, mash words, mumble talk, on fumble y'all, look at me rambling as usual, y'all know what 16 gunshots will do to you, 2 handguns, shotgun user like bluka bluka bluka, one none I can do, I was focused on the movement, one kill me then do it like we can be the start and the spark of the revolution, televised through some rebel lies, hella uncivilized, dangerous, capable individuals and odds. Man, just bringing the pallbearers. All y'all fault, start from y'all errors. Lord, them people you call home, equip them with long feathers and make sure that they stalk my steps wherever I walk in. Yeah, I'm Malcolm X on the X pill, Dr. King on the jet, going to Russia to go see Sweatler. Hope they don't check us at the customs and the connectors or whatever. Hope they don't check us at the customs.
A lot of guys just overstate the obvious. Cliche niggas from colleges rambling about their consciousness. If you ask me, that's exactly what the problem is. Politics and party wanna crack a nigga starting shit. I never beg for pardons, it's the part of Lions Mafia, the horrifying, rotten, writing revolution army, bruh. It's a struggle with a C or a K. Social work on the way. You children better behave. And all the Christians want to know if I'm 5%ing. And 5%ers want to know if I'm rocking with them. And the Hindus want to know which past life is the beginning. And I'm just shrugging my shoulders like, my nigga, what's the difference? Still mass murder. I'm Nat Turner on that Geo. Who's lying? Killer lion. Wear his body like a Snuggie. Hot fresh hemoglobin. Warm the skin of a druggie. And all these fuckers place around me all pretending they love me. Still any means necessary. Even if it means getting buried. Even if it means getting carried by your closest friends rocking gloves at the cemetery. It's gonna get ugly, New Malcolm X. By any means, I learned from what I seen, had a dream. Till it turned to a nightmare. Martin Luther the King without the queen.
Inspiration like your lake is somewhere on vacation. Your whole crew zombies, no denominations. It's strictly observation. So why bait you? Inflate you when my nature proceeds and extends like the makers. Won't have to primate your height and states emergencies against the wall. Hitting your knees somehow it reached us. I know I was walking eager. Something awful lies between us. Probably a siren screaming. Sky was falling through my fingers. But you see all of these bombs playing hopscotch so close next to you and me. It kinda got me thinking, what is life with chugging ether and loving people? And I know it's hard for you to see. When I say you, I'm scared, I'm really just talking to me. I'd rather change the subject. Holidays and love sweats and great sex caused the cardiac arrest. And to make it this far, we done hobbled and stepped. I done lost a few queens for these here rap checks. You follow and press, I'm in the jungles with hacksaws, pushing the caravan inland for actual quotes, holding my nuts on the cavernous as a lantern, scrambling for the light inside your eyes with a fist of mud. Spent my little yearly earnings on the trip to the Nile and send me in real searching for the real plug. Pray the stitching cord extend to Adamsville, where shit body solid as a willow in a windstorm. Man in the cannons, handing them death slips, Lord. Way before my time, feeling like a stillborn. Under pressure like Freddie, and God bless you if you find yourself sleepwalking in on our session, or find yourself late sneaking in on God's lesson like you got your homework. Couldn't get the last question. Excuse me, miss. So you got your homework. Couldn't crack the last question. Ma'am, so you did your homework. I couldn't get the last question. Damn. Man, please help me out.
New Malcolm X. By any means, I learned from what I seen. Had a dream till it turned to a nightmare. Martin Luther the King without a queen, I mean.
Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor, man. Job bricks. Let me talk to my people, man. It's been long overdue. Every time I took a L, man, I learned life. Where I'm from, you could get left if you don't turn right. Nowadays, you earn stripes, trying to burn pipes. Back in the days, we earned stripes, trying to earn rights. Look, I ain't trying to preach if you don't want to listen, but I advise you to listen if you love your children. Cause in this world, you could get stopped by a cop, and your kids might never know if they gonna see you or not. It's real. We unprotected and we unrespected. Rest in peace to Bree Taylor, hope y'all got the message. Our lives never matter, keep letting it happen. So what makes you think that it matters when you punch a ballot? We don't need equality, we need autonomy. We need our own governments, not apologies. We need our land back, not new technology. Aboriginal history, not new ideology. I ain't saying put the guns down, we need violence. Cops kill us, all the gangsters bet not be silent. We need to sit around and plan, we don't need riots. I grip my gun every time I see police sirens. Can't go to war with my brother if he weak-minded. You ain't a thug, you a warrior that need guidance. The Gullah Wars and the Haitian Revolution showed our ancestors really got violent for solutions. Reparation, restitutions, preparation. Start recruiting. BLM is not our movement, but I get why it's confusing. Either you winning or you losing. We won't lose for long. So black man and black woman, what's taking you so long? Unite. And when I say unite, I'm talking about strictly autonomy. You know what I'm saying? We need to all have self-government. You know what I'm saying? We need to all come together as people and do for self. Period. If you ain't trying to do for self and you keep trying to depend on somebody, they're gonna show you what you do when you depend on your enemies. You know? Drop bricks. No, what up?
Why didn't you pay for this beat though?
Just get her, man. Ever since a youngin', I've been running, getting to the cake. Dog, you ain't 100, this 100, let me demonstrate. If she ain't got brains, then I ain't tryna penetrate. And if you ain't a stand-up needy, you could get your dinner ate. I ain't buying all that real shit, dog, you benefit. Took her on a dinner date, now we on the interstate. Might be a rookie in the game, but I've been a great. And we about autonomy, dog, we ain't tryna integrate. Man, we ain't tryna integrate. Was broke back then, now the youngest seeing different cake. We don't go off feelings, we just make sure that the business straight. And if you ain't an intellect, then you can't get a penetrate. Local need you, now I'm getting love all in different states. Gotta need you, if you ain't got scars, then you can't relate. Preach the niggas, I'm just trying to make sure that my people straight. Woke nigga in a sleep world, trying to keep awake. Trying to stay woke, Man, I'm just trying to keep awake. Bodies dropping in my city, damn Perry, keep awake. How another black man, your op, make it make sense. When the system got y'all niggas going through the same shit. Ever since a youngin', I've been running, getting to the cake. Dog, you ain't 100, this 100, let me demonstrate. If she ain't got brains, then I ain't tryna penetrate. And if you ain't a stand-up need you could get your dinner ate. I ain't buying all that real shit, dog, you been a fake. Took her on a dinner date, now we on the interstate. Might be a rookie in the game, but I've been a great. And we about autonomy, dog, we ain't tryna integrate. Say you shoot, what's your resume? Let me see the proof. Drilling shit, where your gang at? Let me see your troops. Getting money, pull up stunting on them. Let me see your crew. Genocide, they pointing weapons at you. You don't even shoot. Real nigga, how you say you real? You don't love your peeps. Family man, grind, feed your family, nigga. Fuck the streets, sliding on each other when the government the enemy. If we come together, we got power, nigga, in the beef. For real, nigga, in the beef. You ain't getting money, ain't no reason to be in the streets. Striving to be legends, we ain't trying to be a memory. And now you ain't my nigga, you my Niji Aborigine. Ever since a youngin', I've been running, getting to the cake. Dog, you ain't 100, this 100, let me demonstrate. If she ain't got brains, then I ain't trying to penetrate. And if you ain't a stand-up need you could get your dinner ate. I ain't buying all that real shit, dog, you been a fake. Took her on a dinner date, now we on the interstate. Might be a rookie in the game, but I've been a great. And we about autonomy, dog, we ain't trying to integrate. We ain't trying to integrate with none of y'all. Autonomy over equality.
Ran on 911 off the lot. It ain't even cost me a lot, yeah. Took that bitch back to the block. Heard a nigga just got the guard within me won't allow these niggas to protect me. I keep the peaceful, squeeze it till my clip is empty. They resent me cause I'm counting all these blessings heaven sent me. I copped the 911, now I'm thinking about the Bentley. You get me? I had to take this shit, nobody let me accept me. So I could give a fuck if you accept me. One thing that's for sure, bitch, you gon' respect me. Like I'm a flex, just do your best not to sweat the technique. Cause behind the smoke and mirrors, niggas all reflect me. And I will fuck with your bitches if my over let me. Or if you all would just tune into my frequencies. We exposed to secrecies, screaming rest in peace to Steve. We all got the power, you just gotta peek and see for yourself. When you stay connected to source, you won't need nothing else. Instead I went and caught me the pause just for my mental health. I guess I couldn't help myself, I'm screaming now. Ran on 911 off the lot. It ain't even cost me a lot, yeah. Took that bitch back to the block. Heard a nigga just got ran on 911 off the lot. It ain't even cost me a lot, yeah. Took that bitch back to the block. Heard a nigga just got.
Hey yo, you into your bitches, adore you. The first time I got knocked was on Massey, on my feet, chefing dope before you. Body in the Bentley trunk, spoil you. All your base out of space. If I'm living, then I'm loyal. 911 with the wind, couple bodies on the scene. That's when they had the face, but the body was Janine. That's when feds had that steam. Just missed me by a second. Now my nigga locked stressing. Made this locker look like precious. Shoot that chopper, send that message. You stop block now. Shoot that chopper, send that message. The stop block now. Hey yo, watch how I aviate. Bench drop from 88. My nigga got 30 years left. He doing day for day. He don't give a fuck. He on his bunk drinking Ace of Spades. Souls just came home. We had our tents tailor made.
Thanks,
scared to come outside. Tell them boys they better pray. Tell them boys stay out the way. Tell them ain't nobody safe. On my mama, on my gang. We gon' put it in their face. Yeah, they scared to come outside.
Niggas know we stepping 90. God know I'm stepping now and later. Until it hurts, it ain't no mercy, that's just how we made it. You heard that church up in my face, it's good, that's how I'm raised. I told God he gotta forgive me, I'm insane, no. Get down on my knees when I'm in pain, no. Tired of the rain on my name. I clean this blood off my Jesus, please. Oh, Jesus, please. Can you feel my needs, yeah? Tired of fucking up, I'm in the streets, yeah. Tryna take away this hurt inside of me.
Scared to come outside.
God, I need a second chance. Knowing that I love you, but sometimes I do the devil dance. Lost a couple of my partners, so I'm sliding out of whoever ends. Drop one of them niggas when I kill them, called the Reverend, yeah. Cause no weapon formed against me shall prosper, yeah. God, know I'm clutching on this chopper, yeah. Waiting on them boys outside.
Scared to come outside.
Ooh, yeah.
Niggas always stepping night and day. Niggas always stepping now and later. Until it hurts, it ain't no mercy, that's just how we made. The church up in my verses, that's just how we made. Though I feel cursed, I pray for better days. Seems like yesterday we was catching plays, and it's been hard on me lately, I can't catch a break. I'm losing niggas on the day to day. Every day I pray. Only God can
tap in.
Lord knows if I see him, I'm gonna have to spray. Now that same spot I seen him is the spot he lay. I clean his blood on my Jesus, please. Jesus, please. Say there's a heaven for a real one. I had to smoke him, even Moses had to kill one. Do it for the bills, I swear this shit is getting ill. They scared to come outside.
Scared to come outside, yeah?
No, I'm stepping night and day.
No, we stepping now and later. Mercy ain't no mercy, that's just how we made. The church up in my verses, that's just how we made.
Oh, you hear that church up in my burger, that's just how I'm raised. Glock off in my britches, that's just how I'm came. Keep a 30 on me, nigga, don't get out the way. Lord, get my preacher on.
I know I can't afford to stop for one moment. That it's too soon. Push the fucking pack off of the porch or break a pound down.
Turn
Keep
up.
the if it happen to blow, it makes a round sounds. Pussy get on my lap, push it back and go to town down. Putting rap on my back and I'm black and snatching crowns. I done came back around like a nigga selling crack in pounds. I got a bag now, but it's nothing to brag about. Gun blast in the background, I'm a black man with the bloodhounds. Mac 10 making love sounds to a bad chick. She from uptown or from down south, not a loudmouth. We can fuck around. Hit the music, baby, cut it down. Hit the doobie while you do me indubitably. I feel like I'm a bust now. I feel like a bust down. When I shine bright, blind niggas is up now. In the cut, big black truck pack sacked up. You can pick it up now, nigga. Fuck it, okay. Push the fucking pack off of the porch or break a pound down. Get the scrap if it happen to blow. It makes a round sounds. Pussy cat on my lap, push it back and go to town down. Putting rap on my back and I'm black and snatching crowns.
Let's go. Pull up.
I know.
I know. Tap in with us. We live. You already know what it is. Appreciate everybody that's tapping with us live. You already know what it is. We live. www. Music Million Lounge. We live inside the building. You dig? Shout out to God of Green. You already know what it is. Shout out to Baron P. Shout out my man Blaze. Shout out to Red Stick. You know what I mean? Especially shout out to Munta and 9 Ether for the night too. We give you this, you know what I mean? Live and direct, you know what I mean? Honestly, first and foremost, shout out to all the ladies, all the mothers, all the women out there live with us, you know what I mean? Shout out to everybody in the party, all the women of the party. Happy Mother's Day, you dig? Happy Mother's Day. Nothing but love, you know what I mean? From me to you. And all the women out there that's doing their thing, take care of their families, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, you know what I mean? First, you know what I'm saying? It's your boy, though. It's your boy, Mac 8 to be live. I'm your host, you know what I'm saying? For the Autonomous Party live broadcast every Sunday. You know what I mean? Thriller Campaign is powered by The Heart's Reality is live life autonomously. You dig? So tap in. We appreciate everybody that's tapped in with us. You see the title for the night. It's reparations for dummies. And we got El Negro Part 1. You know what I mean? If you didn't check the intro 2 weeks ago, we did the intro. Shout out to 9 and to Kumse for that one. You know what I'm saying? Last week, Aboriginal Wall Street was off the chain. If you didn't see the Aboriginal Wall Street with my man Master Ethan and my man Seb, that was a great presentation on economics and how you can aggregate, you dig? But we're going to get straight to it, though, because we got a lot of information. You feel me? Got a lot of information to tap into. So we want everybody to buckle up, and get yourself situated. You feel me? Get yourself situated. You know what I'm saying? We're going to come. Matter of fact, soon God pull back around, we're going to go straight to it. We're going to get straight to it. You feel me? Tap in. Once again, happy Mother's Day to all the ladies out there. Cheers to you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my mama. I love you. Shout out to my sister, my wife. You already know what it is. Shout out to my mother-in-law. Shout out to all the mamas once again out there. Pull up, though. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. What they do. Can y'all hear me? You live. Your mic.
How I'm sounding, bro? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good now.
Clear? Or is it low?
You clear. You clear now. You good.
All right.
Good.
All right.
I hear you good. I hear you good.
Yeah.
Now
yeah,
I need
yeah.
to. You there too? Make sure you live. You live with us. Your mic working? Make sure you straight. Now I might be doing something for the moment. We gonna wait though, because we going to you first anyways. So yeah, bro. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Loud and clear.
All right.
Ain't no pressure. Monte, man, we've been waiting to do this all week. We've been telling the people we was gonna do this. You feel me? So, it's time for us to go ahead and get it right, you know what I'm saying, and let the people know that we about to go ahead and make it happen. So we need everybody to tap in. If you're on Clubhouse, we got the room open, but we need you to click on that link and join us in the chat live, you know what I'm saying, on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? We about to shut this bad boy down. So you might as well go ahead and come on over. You feel me? If you live with us. Appreciate you tap in. Yeah, besides that though, bro, we're gonna get straight to it. Something you want to go to?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get my screen set up here in a second. But so let's give them a little backstory of what's gonna go on, so we ain't catching people on the blind side. You know what I'm saying? So basically,
facts.
Everybody, if you've been in tune to what's going on, you've been hearing about the talk about reparations, right? The task force in California. There's been, as far as the conscious circle, whatever you want to call it, like this been heavily talked about, right? So, back and forth and being in some of the rooms and the spaces that we've been in, and with besides the fact that we do our own research, like it's a lot of bad information going on when it comes to reparations. So, this is not to bash the people who are looking for reparations. This is to educate. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you take it that way, it is what it is. But truly, the intention of what we're trying to do, you know what I'm saying, is just to educate. Because we've been getting played from a lot of different angles as far as what's really being presented in this task force. So we want people to know that we're not trying to make fun of the approach of looking for reparations, but what we're saying is the way that it's being done right now, we being played. You know what I'm saying? And it's clear as day when you read the documentation. And truthfully, what actually happened to our people is much worse than this narrative that they try to spin, that we just came off a boat and slavery. Really what happened was way, way worse. And we're going to break a little bit of that down while we going through this document. So this is the final report that the task force put together. They say they're going to still do some changes, but this is the core of it. But most importantly, we're going to focus on the history, because for those of y'all who don't know, their whole job of the task force in the beginning was to find credible information to prove slavery and why reparations was needed. Obviously, if you're going to get reparations for slavery, the most important part is proving the slavery part. And they clearly said when the governor put this together and they commissioned this task force, they told them they need to provide proof of chattel slavery of Africans being kidnapped, having a bill of sale, and having some ties to insurance because they had the insurance commissioner involved as well. So basically, they wanted this task force to go and compile all of the evidence out there to prove why reparations is necessary. So now this final report that we're about to break down is the historical, and I'm laughing now, you're going to see why later. This is the historical information that they went and found to use as evidence for slavery, right? So this is basically what we're going to be breaking down today. All right, so Matt, when you tell me, bro, we can go and get it ready. I'm gonna just go get my screen right.
Yeah, go ahead and get your screen right. Tap in.
Yeah,
Everybody that's in the chat.
So that's the
get
intro,
ready to
man.
go ahead. You know what I mean? Appreciate everybody, bro. Oh, Munta, you blanked out. I don't know if you did that on purpose.
Yeah, I did. Hold on.
Okay. For everybody, we getting ready to go in though, so tap in with us. You know what I mean? Because we don't uncover something. And it seemed like everybody been talking, but when we get down to doing the research behind what's been presented, it don't look as good as what they've been saying to us. Monte, it's on you. Tap in.
You can see my screen, bro.
Good.
All right, so yeah, so this right here is the document. We're gonna put it in the let me see if I can send it to you. Hey, Kofi, do you still got it, bro? If so, can you put it in the chat, in the YouTube chat? Because I want people to go be able to pull this up. Now, if you do it on your phone, it's gonna load slow. Because it's like I think 600 something pages, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's gonna load a little slow, but I want people to know and go put this together for themselves. So just so y'all can see it for those who are on live, so you know what we rocking with. All right, so this is their report that they have it as of today. This came out like what, a week or two ago, something like that. So it's due by July the 1st. So they got to the end of June to make any changes to this as it's presented right now today. All right, now funny enough, the governor already came out and said that no matter what they change on this shit, he not approving no big cash payments. But he already came out right out the door and said that. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't funny, but I'm gonna tell you some real shit. And I told you I was gonna say this. If I read this report right here, being non-biased, I wouldn't want to do it either, bro. And y'all gonna see. All right, so check it out. So this where we at with it. So first off, I wanted to get to, like I said, this thing over 500 pages. Now, interestingly enough, the part about slavery is probably the smallest section in here. All right, so they're covering a lot of things like redlining, prison reform, all kinds, like a lot of other things. Now, I'm not saying that those aren't grievances that need to be addressed, but they padding this reparations with a whole bunch of things that involve people who aren't just descendants of slaves. You know what I'm saying? So that was just weird to me. But anyway, all we gonna focus on today is the enslavement portion. We want to see the documentation that they put together based on enslavement. Hold on, I'm finna put it right here in the chat. Got it. Hold on 1 second, so you can share it. All right, I just sent it. All right, yeah. So we just gonna worry about the enslavement part. So first, I'm gonna start off with they had a little summary of what they wanted to let us know what their intention of breaking down is. So we're gonna start with that so we can be right and exact on what their purpose is. I don't want to take this and put it in my own words. All right, so enslavement nationally, the foundation of America's wealth was built upon trafficked African peoples and their descendants, built by their forced labor and their bodies as they were brought and sold as commodities. American government at all levels allowed or participated in exploiting, abusing, terrorizing, and murdering people of African descent so that mostly white Americans could profit from their enslavement. After the War of Independence, the United States built one of the largest and most profitable enslaved labor economies in the world. All right. The federal government politically and financially supported enslavement. The United States adopted a national constitution that protected slavery and gave pro-slavery white Americans outsized political power in the federal government. Half of the nation's pre-Civil War presidents enslaved African Americans while in office, and throughout American history, more than 1,700 congressmen from 37 states once enslaved Black people. By 1861, almost 2% of the entire budget of the United States went to pay for expenses related to enslavement, such as enforcing fugitive slave laws. Enslavers made more than $159 million between 1820 and 1860 by trafficking African Americans within the U.S. Charles Ball, an enslaved man who was brought by slave traffickers in Maryland and forced to march to South Carolina, later remembered, "I seriously meditated on self-destruction, and had I been at liberty to get a rope, I believe I should have hanged myself at Lancaster. I had now no hope of ever seeing my wife and children or of revisiting the scenes of my youth." So right now, right after the bat, you already see, instead of getting right into the facts, we got propaganda, we got stories, and they got a lot of these in here. And we're going to nail down a couple of these people because it's very interesting, their background. So I just want y'all to see this part right here. So they talk about the slave codes. They talk about chattel slavery right here. Let's be careful. Babies were enslaved at birth for their entire lives and for the entire lives of their children and their children's children. That's chattel slavery, right, Matt? That's what that is right there. That's what they letting you know is what happened. So
right
now, I ain't a mathematician, but if they made all this money and they had slaves that they saying that they were tracking that were chattel, that means that when we look back, we should have no problem finding firsthand accounts, records, bill of sales, any of that, right? Because it was so prevalent, it made so much money. So this is what they laying down right off the bat. This is just a summary of what they expect to be laid out, right? All right, so now we're going to scoot over to 50. Let's see. We're going to get to the portion, the beginnings of modern enslavement. Let me find that real quick. And like I say, I highly recommend everybody out there to go get this copy of the report and go read it for yourself. It's the best way to be able to nail this down. All right, so right here. So this is where we're going to start. Enslavement changed with European world exploration and global colonization between the 1400s and the 1600s. In North America and South America, English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Dutch colonizers took indigenous people's land to grow crops such as sugarcane, tobacco, rice, and coffee, and to mine for gold. All right, now this is very important right here. They said they took indigenous people's land to grow crops. Okay, so now these lands that they talking about, and we're going to start digging into later, is mainly on the East Coast and the Southeast. All right, now this is very important later when we start talking about different tribes who got citizenship and things like that. So that's just that. All right, so now it says in most of these new colonies, natural resources and land to grow crops were common, but laborers were scarce. In order to officially exploit these resources, Europeans first captured, enslaved, and exploited the indigenous people of North and South America. Because the enslavement of indigenous people could not keep up with the demand for labor, European colonizers began to traffic enslaved people from the continent of Africa. So now they framing it right here. This is the story we didn't all heard. So we gonna keep going. So right now, Matt, this is the part where you're gonna be interested in, where they did tell some truth. They say Portuguese and Spanish colonizers brought the first enslaved Africans to North and South America to supplement forced indigenous labor. Now, Mac, based on the history, so let me finish it out real quick. Portuguese merchants had been trafficking West Africans and selling them in Portugal for many years before the colonization of North and South America. It was these captains who were first forcibly moved into small groups to European colonies across the Atlantic Oceans. So you see this, Mac?
Yeah, I see that.
Right. So now here they are telling the truth.
Right.
This is true. However, the problem is this ain't Great Britain, Mac.
This ain't got nothing to do with nothing in 1619.
Right. Completely different people. They have no connection whatsoever as far as the ruling people who were making this all happen during these two different times.
Right. Different kings, different queens.
Right.
Different
All
orders, different knights, different soldiers,
purposes, different areas.
different areas.
Right.
Period.
So we got that understood. So this is where they start off. So far, not so bad, right? So they tell us some stuff that can be historically proven. All right. So then it says Portuguese and Spanish colonizers eventually start buying thousands of enslaved Africans along the coast of West Africa and Central Africa and bringing them directly to colonies in the Caribbean and Brazil. Around 500,000 enslaved people of African descent had already arrived in North and South America, including Spanish settlements in present-day South Carolina by 1526 and Florida by 1539. By the time Dutch pirates sold around 20 African captives to English colonists in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. So here we go right here. Anytime you be seeing these catchphrases, they're trying to stick to their propaganda, right? If it's so many examples of something, if you got millions of examples, why you got to keep using the same 2, 3, and 4? That don't even make sense.
Right.
It's supposed to be an overwhelming amount of evidence. All right, but we gonna keep walking though. So here we go. We already know this part. This is what they laid down in the beginning. All right. So now they got to talk about the Middle Passage. This is the most talked about slavery situation probably known to man. This Middle Passage, transatlantic slave, it's many of stories, it's most talked about. So now they got to break that down, right? So they come down here, they talk about the growth of slavery, a whole bunch of, propaganda shit. So something important to note though, it said enslaved Africans and African descended peoples made up 47.5% of all people who arrived in the English colonies between 1700 and 1775. They said around 278,000 of the 585,000 new arrivals documented during this period. This meant that the transatlantic slave trade was nearly as important to the growth of English North America as free or indentured immigration from Europe. Now listen to this, bro. These people are saying that the slave population made the colonies be what it was. Already it don't make sense because how can you contain this many people? But let's go by and let's say they telling the truth. We're gonna take them at their word, right? So this means that if you got all these people and you know they came, that means we should be able to track them, right, Matt? We should be able to track some of these people,
right?
If it's all of that activity that was going on, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this they just further laying it on about how much proof it is, how much all it is. So now we're gonna get into some of the proof. So they start talking about the Middle Passage, right? The Middle Passage, they tell us all the stories. The ones about being whipped, the ones about throwing up on each other. They even got a picture. You remember this, Mac?
Of course I remember that.
Yeah, they
it's
got
a popular picture right there.
Come on, man. It's propaganda 101, my boy. Like, look, they got it in here for you to see. Nothing yet has come of any source. It's only stories. All of this is stories. Don't take my word for it. Just come read it. None of these is any source. Every source that's named, we gonna touch it today. But I just want y'all to know this is what they showing so far, right? Talk about how bad the ship was, people jumping off, all of this. But see, they made a very, very big mistake. For the people that actually go and research this, they left names. They left clues, right? For people that can be tracked. So we're going to start with the guy that they said was the most popular.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pull Buddy up real quick. It looks different on this other computer. I'm trying to find the page. But once we get into my boy, Equiano, yeah, it's going to get real interesting. Now, what page is shit? 52. I just know that when we go into all these people, it shouldn't be nothing for us to be able to get every piece of information we need. Damn, where my boy at? $52.
I'm looking for him.
Yeah, it's on this page though. I'm trying to find it. Because I want to make sure they see the name.
You can't search on page?
Man, it should be tripping.
See,
it's on this page though for sure. I just can't see it. Hold on. Wait, 52 captive.
Come down a little bit. Start right there. Okay, Alan Madagascar. Okay, people. You sure it's on this page?
I might be a
My
page up there. Hold on, it may be me. I may be a page up. Hold on. Oh, there you go, right here. All right.
There we go. All
Enslaved, my boy right here.
There
All
you
right,
go.
so enslaved captive Oluwuda Equiano, who survived the Middle Passage, wrote that the closeness of the place and the heat of the climate added to the number in the ship, which was so crowded that each had scarcely room to turn himself, almost suffocated us. Okay, so this means nothing, but his name means everything.
Yes, it
So
does.
they say Buddy survived. Okay, so obviously, you know, when I read this, I had never heard of him. So I had to go find out.
For people that's listening, wait a second, Munta.
Go ahead.
Go back up a little bit.
Okay.
To the next page. Now that we found him.
All right.
Stop right there. That last paragraph right there.
All
right. I'm thinking that this is going. Yeah, make it bigger. I'm thinking that this is gonna. If I'm right, we're reading from the left and then we go on to the right. So what's above where it says categories? Royal African Company, that paragraph right there, right there, that one. That's it. During, right there, yeah. I'll come back down a little bit more. Right there where it says that paragraph, we read into it. Because during the journey across the Atlantic Ocean, enslaved Africans went through months of torture trapped inside the slave ships. The voyage, which was called the Middle Passage because it was the second leg of the triangular trade between Europe, Africa, and America, took 80 to 100 days, around 2.5 to 3 months or more, in the early years of the trade. And then I think that's faith. Was that right?
Although new selling technologies.
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes down, man, I was trying to get to that, just so people could catch up to where we're reading that. Cut the length of the trip 60 to 80 days in later years. Slaving ships came into many different sizes, but the average Royal African Company boat held around 330 slaves.
Yep.
Basically enslaved people, right? So now, when they said that Royal African Company, right?
Right.
What time frame was the Royal African Company doing their thing again?
I want to say it was the 1700s. Hold on.
People get their times right. Because within the report, they just got to talking about the slave trade and everything dealing with the Portuguese and the Spanish, right?
Yep.
So the Royal African Company, who are they chartered by to be able to do? Who are they commissioned by? Huh?
The stewards.
The stewards,
out
right?
of London.
The stewards out of London. So when are we going to find records of what we call the Stewart line dealing with the Royal African Company going into West Africa, which is Portuguese territory, and bringing slaves into Jamestown, or
it's funny you
anytime
say that.
after the 1619? Just based off
it's
of
funny
people.
You say that because one of the people we gonna dig up.
Yeah.
One of his surnames is pretty funny, but
let me get you to go back though. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You done
pointed that out. So to that point too, 330 people is what they saying per ship, right? So they said millions came. So
right.
It should be thousands of ships.
Thousands
a whole bunch of bill of sales. Right?
Yes, a whole bunch of bill of sales.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna keep walking. I think that was all that I wanted to point out on that part right there. Until so we can go look at Equiano. All right. So this Equiano. All right, let's see.
Here we go.
You see it good?
I see it good.
All right. So Oluwuda Equiano, known for most of his life as Gustavus Vasa, was a writer and abolitionist from, according to his memoir, the village of Asaka in present-day southern Nigeria. Enslaved.
Stop.
Yeah, go
Monte,
ahead.
wait. No, you skipped something.
Yo,
You skipped something. You skipped the date. When's he born?
1745.
Didn't the last link just say he survived the Middle Passage?
Yeah.
In 1745, he was born?
Well, you know, they say the Middle Passage was going on all the way into the 1800s.
Right. That's what they say, right?
So this is the guy.
Yeah,
This be
go
taking
ahead.
them for their word. We taking them for their
Mhm.
word. They said this guy survived. Now his story is very. I gotta know about the dude who survived. Is you know what I'm saying? So let's hear about that. Okay.
Go ahead.
They say he came out of Nigeria. They say he was enslaved as a child in Africa. He was shipped to the Caribbean and sold to a Royal Navy officer. He was sold twice more before purchasing his freedom. So he was sold twice more. When he started getting money, I thought slaves couldn't get no bread. But anyway, he purchased his freedom in 1766. So he couldn't have been enslaved that long. Because he died, according to them, where he was 50, 60, something like that. So at this time in 1766, he would have been in his 20s.
Right.
So he may have been enslaved maybe like 10 years.
Right.
But then he bought his way out. But anyway, so let's keep going. So he said, as a freed man in London, Equiano supported the British abolitionist movement. Equiano was part of the abolitionist group, the Sons of Africa, whose members were Africans living in Britain. And he was active as a leader of the anti-slave trade movement in the 1780s. His 1789 autobiography, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Oluwuda Equiano. I'm gonna hit y'all with the Dr. Umar. The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Oluwuda Equiano. Why would you name this? If this your life story, I'm not calling my shit no narrative. These are the facts, my boy. Yeah, no narrative. So that was weird to me the first time I saw it. But it's gonna get even weirder when we show you his boys who had the same type of titles, even though they were supposed Africans. But we gonna
right. Sons of Africa,
right,
living in Britain.
Right. They whole life. The boy got free and he went to London. He didn't go to Africa. So check this out. Make this make sense. He got taken away. I think they said he was 11 or 12. He got free in his 20s. So he was still young enough to know everybody from his land. And when he got free, he went to London and spent the rest of his life there.
That part.
And not only that, he never went by this name again. This is his African name. But he went by the name Gustavus Vasa. When he died, on his tombstone, it say Gustavus Vasa. The only time he ever used this name again was when he wrote this book. Interestingly enough.
That part.
Okay, so let's get to some, his story. They say where he got took, but just by doing, even in his Wikipedia, which we all know is base level, surface level information.
Base.
But even in this, they attach this to Buddy name. This part right here is very important.
Character name. Yep.
So it says literary scholar Vincent Coretta argued in his 2005 biography of Equiano that the activist could have been born in colonial South Carolina rather than Africa, based on a 1759 parish baptismal record that lists Equiano's place of birth as Carolina, and a 1773 ship's muster that indicates South Carolina. Coretta's conclusion is disputed by other scholars who believe the weight of evidence supports Equiano's account of coming from Africa. Okay, so listen to this part right here. In Virginia, Equiano was bought by Michael Henry Pascal, a lieutenant in the Royal Navy. Pascal renamed the boy Gustavus Vassa. So he renamed him, but he ain't named him Gustavus Pascal. Why he ain't give him the same surname? I thought that's how the slave system worked.
That's what I thought it worked like too, right? You know what I'm
saying? So maybe it was just this owner. So check this out. So then Equiano had already been renamed twice. He was called Michael while on board the slave ship, and that brought him to the Americas, and Jacob by his first owner. This time, Equiano refused and told his new owner that he would prefer to be called Jacob. So you know your name, and you tell them, I want a white boy name. Call me Jacob.
Actually, I wouldn't even call it a white boy name, but still goddamn Jacob. Hey,
according to what they told us.
You feel me? Right.
We sticking to their narrative. Because remember, we for their word. They told us the truth, right, man?
All right, that's what they saying, right?
They said. Yeah. We just finna go off of that. So it definitely ain't Olawuda.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, you chose Jacob. Your name Olawuda. You let nigga call you Jacob and Michael. That don't even make no sense. But anyway, they telling you how he got.
Look who he's named after. Look who he's named after, though.
Right. Yeah.
Come on, bro. Look who he's named after, though. The 16th century king of Sweden. And then you began the Protestant Reformation in Sweden. Like, what's up with you, homie? Who you was brought on a slave ship. Why are you so interested in the Protestant movement?
It don't make no sense.
That don't sound like an African thing to do.
But
if you just came off a ship.
African. Now,
it sound like a a lot of Yuda and Swarthy crypto shit going on out of Europe. You heard me? But anyway,
now I want to be fair though. So when they put this right here, they put their source in here. 103 is the source number, right? We finna go look at this and see what type of historical context, because I can go on and on. Like, it's literally so many people who are disputing that this dude was an African. So of course it's gonna leave you to reasonable doubt. But here go the part that's confusing is, where are the records? Who can prove chattel slavery? I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen chattel slavery proved through genealogy. If it's millions, it shouldn't be that hard to find one person.
God damn.
If it's millions.
That's what I've been saying.
Like, show a slave, don't show a slave schedule. Show us multiple ancestors in your family owned by another person, and y'all had the same surname for generations of slave. Who can prove that, Matt?
I mean, we've been looking.
The experts can't. Bro, listen, this is who they used. This guy, okay? This guy got all kind of shit on his name. But this is how I found out who they put. So when we go back to it, let me see what page it is, because I want y'all to see page 92. Right here. 10. All right, can you see this, Matt?
Yeah.
So 103 was the number. This is what they put as the source, right? But then they also had 104, and this is how I was able to track them down. Testimony of Dr. Dana Ramey Berry. Okay, so check this out. They have all of the testimonies on their website. It's the task force. So you can go on there and see. And they use these people, they use her testimony. When you go to it, it's right here. And she literally is in here. This is what they used as a witness testimony. This living lady to say that, yes, Equiano, he did say this in his book. They ain't got no records. They ain't got no nothing. When you search dude, he a mystery. All you find is his books. all you find is this story. That's it. He never went to Africa. Matter of fact, they tried to get him to recruit people to Sierra Leone, and Buddy say he ain't with it.
He sound like John Morant.
Yes, John Morant had a book too. They both had the book. What was John Morant book called? Hold on. John Morant book. Oh, let me go to the Fableitionists.
They both got Sierra Leone in coming too.
Both of them with the same play. The Sons of Africa. All of that.
Sons of Africa, all that. They got the same play. You heard me? And by the way, that boy acting crazy right now with that last name Morant right now. That boy acting crazy, just to put that out there. But anyways,
he moving.
He must be listening to John somehow or nothing. I don't know what he got going on. Come back to earth, John Morant, I mean.
But so here's the whole thing, right? So this is some of the stuff that we wanted to tie together. So now that's who they use. Like, no bullshit. When you go through this report, you're gonna find him and you're gonna find Whip Pete. That's it.
Whip Pete.
This who else they talk about right here.
Who else said it got somebody connected to Whip Pete? Somebody who was that?
Man, I can't even keep up.
Oh man, shit crazy out here. Anyways, though, Whip Pete, what a name.
Whip Pete. And his story, once again, he comes with one of these crazy out the box stories. They don't know. Look at this. This guy, another one of the most famous slaves known to man. They don't know when he was born. They don't know when he died. They don't know his family. They don't know nothing. And he was alive in the 1860s, bro.
So you mean to tell? That don't make no sense, bro. You mean to tell me they got these two people and a couple other people we can call out that have narratives, but we can't, on a genealogical standpoint, find anybody from their records from the 1700s connected through genealogy, somebody in the 1790s that could show that their ancestor was once a slave within the 13 colonies with all the paperwork they got?
I don't understand. And then the part that they keep saying is they specifically outlined in here how the 13 colonies was the ones getting all the slaves, which that's the that's the narrative, right?
That's the narrative.
Where is the proof then?
We want proof. We want like genealogical evidence of these people, especially if you say in 1745. You know what I mean? Right. You're gonna have to give us more than just a narrative for us to go off of a slavery storyline that's supposed to fit all people we call American Negroes.
So look at John Morant. Look at John Morant, his book, A Narrative of the Lord's Wonderful Dealings with John Morant, a black.
Oh, they let you know he black. John Morant was a Negro, hands down. You know what I'm saying? He was part of the African Union, the African Lodge of 491. He was actually the chaplain. He gave the speech when Prince Hall was being inducted. That also called, you know what I'm saying, the word Negro out in that speech in that 1791. That's just a factual thing. If anybody don't know about John Morant, they say that he got saved because a Cherokee chief didn't decide to kill him. You know what I mean? But however the case might be, he was out there turning Indians into Christians. That's what the storyline goes. Black man, yeah, a black man. Yeah, that part though. Go ahead though. If anybody want to know anything about this man? So he got Sons of Africa too, right? Look at that. Look at that.
So look,
make that bigger. Make that bigger for people to see that. Make that bigger. Make that bigger. Yeah, straight. Thoughts and something. Yeah, it's good. It's better. Right there at the top. See where it says in 1787, possibly with the help of his friend Orlando Aquino, and I know I messed his name up, so excuse me. You know what I mean? Because I don't speak African languages that well. You feel me? Cool. Garno published the attack on slavery entitled "Thoughts and Settlements." Or you clicked on the link on the evil and wicked traffic of slavery and commerce of the human species in 1787. By now, a devout Christian, he will work informed by that religion. He used arguments around Christianity and global economics and politics for this cause. His writing called for the abolition of slavery and immediate emancipation of all enslaved people. It argues that an enslaved person's duty is to escape from slavery. That sounds like some maroon shit. I like that part. And argue that an enslaved person's duty is to escape slavery. I'm going to say it again. And that the force should be used to prevent the further enslavement. The narrative was sent to King George III. History time frame. Click, click. You know what I'm saying? And then it says the Prince of Wales and to Edmund Burke, a leading politician, George III, along with much of the royal family, remained opposed to abolition of the slave trade. For years later, here's that time frame, 1791. Kugano published a shorter version of his book addressed to the sons of Africa. I found that interesting. Yep. And it expressed qualified support for the failed British efforts to establish a colony in Sierra Leone. For London's, look what it says. For London's poor blacks. It didn't say African poor blacks.
Nope.
It didn't say enslaved Africans.
And this is 1790.
You feel me? It's saying for London's poor blacks, mostly freed African American slaves who had been relocated to London after the American Revolutionary War.
Them black Europeans,
you know it's cap.
Them black Europeans who they was pissed off at for bucking against Great Britain, and they had them as prisoners of war. That just proved they was black, but they was trying to make them seem like they was Africans to fit this story. So
that part.
Let's sum it up in conclusion. And let me show y'all this lady name because I want to
black
be
Europeans.
Why
are they hiding themselves?
PhD.
Come out the closet.
Dana Ramey Berry, PhD. I think she at UT Austin or something, but she a big dog in African American studies. Her or anybody else who want to dispute these facts, I promise you, the shit that y'all standing on is cap. Because look it up, bro. There's no time. All of this shit is just fables and stories. I know for a fact of the research that we've been doing that we can prove that the abolitionist movement was a propaganda movement. And they created the Africa play out of London for what they wanted to do moving into Africa in the future, because that's exactly what they did. They didn't get no foothold over there until the scramble for Africa in the late 1800s. They used America as they play to get over there, and they created this shit. Think about it. Every story, everything that got to do with Africa coming out of London. Them lodges came out of London. All of the abolitionist stuff came out of London. These people they never went to Africa. When we just read how when they got a plan to send them to Africa, they ain't even want to go.
They didn't want to go.
From there is what they said. So this the thing.
They needed bodies. They needed numbers. See, like you got the ones that's in the lodge and they doing the Christianity and they doing the missionary work, and they got this, you know what I mean, agenda and plan. Because like you just laid it out, you know what I mean? Like Sierra Leone they were talking, it's a failed situation. They mad.
Right.
Damn, we tried to get y'all to come here, bitch. Which after the Revolutionary War, you know, we tried to get some of y'all to get you a place where you can go. You feel me? Because y'all were siding with us, but god damn it, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like a lot of your folk didn't want to go back to a place you've never been. You know what I'm talking about? So it might be a reason. Because the Sons of Africa thing is tied to the African Lodge.
It is. And so let me read.
No doubt about it.
Let me read this before we leave out of here because I want people to hear this. So a gentleman by the name of Vincent Coretta, he's a historian, did a lot of work, but he was on this Equiano story very hard. So in an article that was written about his work, this is what they said. In 1999, the readers of Slavery and Abolition, a scholarly historical journal, were startled to learn that according to a respected editor, one of the foundational slave narratives might not be all that it purported to be. The text in question was the interesting narrative of the life of Oluwuda Equiano, or Gustavus Vassa, the African, written by himself. Vincent Coretta, the diligent editor of a new edition of the work for Penguin Classics, had come to doubt whether Gustavus Vassa, who went by the name Equiano, had really been born in Africa, captured as a boy, and transported to the New World, as he claimed in the narrative. In his Slavery and Abolition article, Coretta explained that his research had led him to believe that Equiano had probably been born in South Carolina, and that his account of an African childhood was a vivid piece of imaginative reconstruction. Hold on, this part right here is the most important. a reconstruction that perfectly suited the needs of an abolitionist movement, then principally focused on the evils of the Atlantic slave trade. So basically, Equiano was the first person to speak up against the slave trade. So who better than an abolitionist to use than somebody who actually came from Africa and went through this? This dude was literally the first one on wax. He became rich as an author behind writing this book. Similar to Roots. This is where they got the play from. And him and all his buddies had a book just like this. The interesting narrative of such and such and such and such, the African, the black. You know what I'm saying? Propaganda, bro. And this is all that the report could come up with is propaganda. They didn't come with no manifest. They didn't come with no nothing. They just wrote you a book, basically, saying a whole bunch of shit that we already knew and already heard before. And the only sources that they came with is a YouTube video. Hey, so they be talking about us because we'll come and put some on a meme or a YouTube video, but this is the witness testimony using for the government, bruh.
This is for everybody. This is for everybody in the country.
This just set precedent.
This slavery. This is supposed to set precedent for state by state legislative understanding of what they're trying to make happen by California using this task force and this information to show us that we are all Africans. This is what they want us to go by, slavery-wise. This narrative and her account of the narrative. They ain't even got no genealogical documents or nothing.
Bro, not one.
Not one. They didn't use no genealogical documents for nobody in the task force had did the work to get not one ancestral connection of lineage of someone that could show that their people went through some type of slavery coming out of Africa. Man, boy, let me tell you. Go ahead, Monte, boy. Let me tell you. See, I don't know what they need to see, but I mean, I know.
Bro, I had way more, we press for time, but just know, like I say, I put that out there. Anybody who feel like you want to come talk about this, I'll take the challenge all year long. Next month, we got something special coming for y'all. For those who say they can prove chattel slavery, we gonna pay you if you can come with them documentation, because there's too much cap going on. This is why people don't take us serious, bro. If this would have came across my desk, that shit don't got no historical value in it. It's only stories, bro.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? They playing games with us because they know that this is not our true history. And if we just gonna keep falling for it, then they gonna entertain us, but they ain't worried about none of that. As long as we talk about some African slaves, they know that part ain't true.
They know we can't lawfully go prove that, but they can give us DNA all day, which is entertainment, because we can't use that in the court of law.
Just like this is entertainment.
That's why the governor can't use that. This is entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like the governor, like, I can't use this shit. I can't pass this shit.
Because think about it, if you're the governor, you got to go and say that this is why we paying out more money than we got in our state budget. And all I had in the report was stories.
That's all you want me to raise the quota, which is going to raise everything in the country, in the state I live in.
So the task force failed.
They failed completely. But some people will give them some kind of, say, hey, they did their thing, or whatever the case might be. But
they ain't do this out the kindness of their heart.
They got paid.
Right.
So, I mean, nope, if you got paid, it wasn't something that was you did a bad job, though, task force.
And listen now, this lady.
You did a bad job.
This ain't just no lady on Clubhouse. She do this for a living. She's an African-American. Right. Hold on, let me make sure, because, they think we be lying.
People be thinking, because, some people be saying, they went to school for this shit. They got their masters and they got their PhD, their doctorate in African American studies. This is which the studies is based off of, especially when it comes to the slave trade part, a narrative, and not off of anything that they ever documented within their peer reviews or dissertations to show any kind of factual slave documents of West Africans being brought in the time frame that they're talking about. It don't add up. It don't add up. And you can't include the Portuguese and the Spanish and what they did. That's cap. Don't do that. The 13 colonies is not the same as that. Don't do that. You know what I'm talking about? The French ain't the same as that. Don't do that. You feel me? Like people be
Yep.
mixing the dope with these colonies because you hear European, so automatically you thinking, you know what I'm saying? European, there's some white Europeans just did some shit.
Right.
Not even knowing that them Europeans that they be talking about ain't even white people.
At all.
So here we go though. But you know, you got some ones that favor the sons out of Africa theory. Sons of Africa. You got something? Go ahead, pull up. God's got something real quick going.
All right. I'm gonna take my screen off.
You can take your screen down. We're gonna pull up something. Got a green say he got something on this one, so you know. We'll tap it.
I really hope people go read it for themselves, man.
Hey, it's there though. I think people just ain't paying attention. And in all manner, we want people to realize something, you know what I'm saying, with this information that we presented. Because the slave narrative ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bring up, I think, a better storyline that people can documentally, based off of genealogy, go find, you know what I'm saying, a term that we all can go research and people have in common. The indigenous side and those who favor to say the African Americans. The word is Negro. The word is Negro. We're gonna go into that in a minute. Yeah, go ahead though. Highlight. Go ahead. It's on you. Make it bigger so I can read it. All right, boom. 24.
And this is.
What's this from?
Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin.
Oh,
yeah.
This
is Benjamin Franklin. Yeah.
Yep.
Observations. Okay. Because you make sure everybody know what the source is from.
Right.
That's why before I read it, I want everybody to know what the source is from. Go back down. I'm ready. Boom. 24. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black and tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers. Wholly so, which means they talking about they dark people. There's anybody that don't get that right. And then it says, and in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, the Swedes, and Germany, all of what we would call a swarthy complexion, as there are Germans also. The Saxons only accepted, who with the English make, slide typewriter style, the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I wish their numbers were increased. I wish. I could wish their numbers were increased, meaning we outnumbered. It's just, and while we are, as I may call it, scoring the planet by clearing America of woods and making so this side, slide back. No, go back. We coming into it. Sons of Africa right now. Of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus. He's using some masonry when he said that. Why should we, in the sight of the superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? Where, don't stop there. We have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. You feel me? He mentions the sons of Africa.
Hey, Kofi, can you bring that comment up on the screen that say chattel slavery in America had to be sustained with African records?
Well, it need to be shown.
Nah, I want to make sure we clear this up on what we saying.
African records. He's gonna show us some African records there.
Show this real quick.
All right, yeah.
Okay. Make it bigger. In 1789, he wrote and published several essays supporting the abolition of slavery, and his last public act was to send the Congress a petition on behalf of society, asking for the abolitionists of slavery and an end to the slave trade. The petition, signed on February 3rd, 1790, asked for the first Congress, then meeting in New York City, to devise means for removing the inconsistency from the character of American people and to promote mercy and justice towards this distressed race. Guys saying, but look who he fucking with though. The Quakers.
Quakers, yeah.
Another key group.
Another key group. Yeah, the Quakers.
They was the key, the major key.
So you see how we tied the abolitionist movement
to the Quakers
Sons of Africa, dealing with Ben Franklin, and how it's all a play, how he tied into it.
Yeah, it's all a play.
Exactly.
Ben Franklin was a Mason.
He's a Mason. He's a 33rd degree Mason. Not only did he do this in 1751, he did what he did in 1734 with the pamphlet coming from James Anderson. So him, the rhetoric and information that he's putting out ain't just some old, like, genuinely, you know what I'm saying? He has an agenda. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if people understand that. They're going to have to go do their research on Benjamin Franklin. They think he's from. What comment was it, though?
The one it says, it's from My Ultimate Soulmate. It says chattel slavery in America had to be sustained with African records. It was a question.
Well, then all we want you to do is show us the records. If you got them,
but it ain't that though.
I want you to show it.
Nah, it ain't that though. Africa is not the one who's supposed to have the records. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is chattel slavery, like she said it in the chat. That means that you've been owned for life, and your children will be owned. So guess what that means? That come with paperwork in America. Where just in that one dude's story, they knew all the names that he had gotten. So if they know it for him, what are others who couldn't tell their own story too? Because with Pete, the other dude in there, he got to tell his story too. He ain't tell, it's always, he had a different surname than the master. He disappeared out the blue. Everybody who they talk about is shrouded in mystery. Where the records at? You should be able to find them easy. You should be able to find them. Everybody that's black should be able to find one person enslaved based on what they saying. We talking about millions of people now, bro.
Right. Millions of people. So everybody should have somebody.
It shouldn't be hard. You should be able to call somebody on the phone and they can got the records to show they people. If we lying, go come prove it.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that simple. But yeah, that's what we saying on that.
That's all we say. Hey, we showing what we showing. All we doing is ask you to go find something to show us different.
And if you got the records, please, we can have that conversation. We just about the truth. You know what I'm saying? But come with it. Don't just come with your opinion.
Yeah, we don't want the opinions when we're showing you facts of these people that y'all be talking about. Y'all take your word from. You're going to take your word from the documents. You're going to say you following the documents. Well, we following the documents. You just ain't read this document. That's all. We still following the same people. You still following the same system. So why you going to be mad we find something from the system saying this is what it is, though? Can you find us a record?
Because clearly records exist. If they can track Buddy, they can track other people.
And he got agreed to say Whip Pete got a cameo on the slave book too. That's
what I'm saying, bro. Hit this picture right here. That's Whip Pete. That's the dude that Will Smith just paid in that movie. Bro. And this dude, when you go look him up, just go look up the history, man. They don't got no parents. They don't got they know everything about them except the part that matter.
The genealogy.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that simple.
That part. All right, well, I want to also link this in. You see how it said Negro at the top, right?
Yeah.
God, you pull up the Obama joint real quick so people just know. And you bring, what 9 need to add? You're going to get ready. I'm ready for 9. We're going to get ready to go into this Negro part. So, you know what I mean, for this conversation. You know what I mean? And El Negro part 1 is coming up. You know what I mean? Is anything you want to land on besides that, Monte? You good? As far as the presentation for this part of the information?
No, I'm good. I'm straight, bro.
Task force. I hate to say reparations for dummies, but the fact that that's what they are going off of and got everybody, because everybody seemed to skip that part. They talk about all the other stuff, but when it comes down to reading the actual thing that the task force did, this is what they are showing to you. And this is what people just go past and be like, oh, okay. And then you ignore it because you just want to, the history seems to be something you don't want to go find out about your people. But you're serious about slavery, though, because you want to get a check. But you don't want to go really find out what happened to your people and really go look into the documents. You know what I'm saying? That's just really what's going on.
Hey, I challenge y'all to go hold a genealogy room. Y'all keep talking about rooms to spend the money. Go get a room to go do your genealogy, bro, because that's what it's going to take to even get the bread. And that's all I got for you.
Go find out who your people's is, goddamn. Stop going off what these people telling you. If you can be autonomous at anything, you can be autonomous about going out and find out uniquely what happened to your peoples. You know what I mean? On your own time. That's an autonomous thing you can do. You can't make no excuses about that. You know what I'm saying? Go tap in with your people. And not just go to the document. Because this is, your parents got parents, your parents got parents. It's something like that. You know what I mean? You're going to find out some interesting things. Everybody's story different. So tap in. But this Negro thing is something we all got in common, though. See what I'm saying? The word Negro with that Negro slave on it. It didn't say African slave, it said Negro slave. Some Negro slaves. You know what I'm saying? Pull up the Obama joint real quick. What up, Nam? What's popping, though?
What's good? What's good?
I just want to slide on people with this real quick. I just want to get in this. We're going to get straight to the El Negro part.
No doubt.
Feel me? So, we've been talking about this all week. So I got to put this in context. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been looking for African records. You know what I mean? And an African that came on the ship as a slave. But we literally, when we had what they call a black, and I like to call him an African-American president, based off his lineage, the Negro term, along with Oriental, got thrown out. And some people were like, yeah, he's trying to do the betterment of uplifting our communities by getting rid of this, denigrated term or derogatory term that now federally you can't even put the term Negro inside certain, even on Clubhouse. You can't use this word and put it in your title. They won't let you. They won't even let you to open a room. They won't let you do nothing. Certain other places too, you can't use this word. It's offensive. You know what I mean? But hey, maybe anyways. But we use it every day in music and everything, so I don't know how that works, federally speaking. But anyways, maybe they blank out the word now. I don't even know. But either way, still. The word Negro got thrown out. And you can take down the comment too, guys. The Obama signs bill eliminating Negro Oriental from federal laws. Now, this word Negro, though, is older than the United States of America. This word Negro, as they say, is tied to the Portuguese term. When shout out to Tribe Biz, when they showed me something these people was came at him about, and they were using the definition, the etymology of the word Negro. And Obama got rid of the word Negro. So everybody's talking about being African, but you go straight to the Negro because you're trying to prove that you were a slave, because the connotation denoting of the word Negro being tied to something in a manner of slavery. So when we look at the situation and we kind of look at what they say about, we got proof on records that people were called free Negroes. We got proof on records people were called free people of color, and that they were labeled Negroes. Sure, I've been called a Negro from time to time, got a couple fights because of it too. But at the same time, my homie called me that, and it's cool. I'm put it like that, right? But at the same time, really, federally now it's out of the thing. But this is what you could find on record prior to 1775, 1776, with the European colonies, from the Portuguese coming on up, with the black codes involved, black and Negr0, as they say in Spanish, is black. So when we can understand the people that the codes had a situation of redlining in different terms they like to use, disenfranchise and denigrate and all the words we like to use to show that we've been kept from a situation. Obama clearly shows that, everybody has a right to a nation of people when he made that statement. And he also said that the word Negro obviously shows that that group of people were, harmed in some kind of way from being a part of a nation of people, which means that we would have a right to human rights. And him as a president should understand that, we're the ones brought harm to in the Negro position. So if you're going to get rid of the word, that means you should need to repair the people who got records, right, tied to the word Negro, right? Not African necessarily, but the word Negro, that's the word you got rid of. You didn't get rid of the word African. You're talking about Negro. Because even after, when they say a proclamation emancipation, even, the word Negro was still being used in when they say a negative sense to keep people from being even part of certain tribes. If they had one drop Negro blood, all these different things show a harm being done to a people. Show me one more joint, and then we're gonna let 90 slide. Well, I got the other. Yeah, I'm good with this one. I want people just to see that because it's there. It's a fact. You want to go research why you did it, all the stuff behind it. I'm gonna give you one more joint real quick. Boom. You know what I mean? And what Obama did, he showed a little act though. This is when, at the same time, the word African Americans come into play, and it brings in the progress of the African American community during the Obama administration. So he's getting rid of the word Negro. He's bringing the word African. So now everybody's struggling because they're following after the narrative, of a first black president, an African American president, bringing in this new, making it household for us to be a part of the system, so to speak, and all the improvements that's supposed to be made. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? That's going to be made on behalf of now the new African American. You see what I'm saying? But the Negro, he out of there. But that's what's on all of our records. Now, who your Negroes are and who my Negroes are might be different. But we ain't going to go against the fact that the Negro is being used and we all got a connection to it. You feel me? We got Negroes in Paris. Jay-Z said, you know what I'm saying? Rich nigga, poor nigga. He didn't say African. That's not what's on the records. But either way, though, you can go research. Go to the top, because we're not going to go into that. We got the El Negro, and that's why it's important because the El Negro goes back past the Portuguese time frame of the 15th century. As we did in the introduction of El Negro with Nanita, we took you back to the 11th century with a person named Yaya El Negro. And with that, we can pull Nanita up. Tap in. What up, Nan? Shout out to Munta with that presentation. Everything you need is source proved. You can go look it up for yourself. Shout out to Munta for that presentation on the reparations task force. Seemed like a lot of people couldn't go read through the whole thing. I guess it wasn't that important. Nah, it's on you. What's popping?
Give me the share screen.
You want the link? You ain't got it? Because it's probably on our side.
Oh, hold on. I got it.
Yeah, you can just what I mean, share on page real quick and shit. You know what I mean? Excuse my French. That's a French word, by the way. Yeah, a cuss word, French. A Frenchie. When I say Negroes in Paris, if they were freed coming out of Paris in America, they would have considered a Frenchie. You feel me? Negroes coming out of Paris in America that just came out of a manumitted situation, that means they would be considered a Frenchie. That's like a punchline, but people ain't gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? But Jay-Z and Kanye made the song. You feel me? Negroes in Paris. He said Africans in Paris. He said Negroes in Paris. But the word of Frenchie does mean freedman in French. Je de color, Libri. Now, you ready? What happened? You want to send it to us? I know you sent it to my email, but is he froze? Okay, can you hear me?
Yo, you hear me?
Yeah. I'll make sure you're straight. Okay, whenever you're ready, it's on you.
All right, so we're gonna go into El Negro, basically show some of the people that came here from the 1492. For those that didn't see, we did the El Negro series part 1, where we were showing Yaya El Negro from the year, 1150? Basically showing his family in Portugal as the upper echelon of the Portuguese Aristotle.
I called it an intro though. Nah, I just want to let people know we got this one right here today, marked as part 1. The first one we did with you on it is considered, that was the intro, because we brought in Yaya El Negro on that part, which took us
going up.
Yeah, catch the intro if you ain't catch up. You're catch up on the intro.
We definitely gonna walk. We're gonna walk it down. Right here on my screen, I got the treaties between Portugal and Spain and the contract for Columbus. This is online at the Avalon Project, which is Yale Law Library. So you can go on yourself, it's free. It has historical documents dating back to before BC. That is the Avalon Project, AVALON, up there on the screen. I'm not going to go through them all, but in that, it's the compact between Spain and Portugal. Letters and patents from King Henry. Privileges or prerogatives granted by
Kind of
the
blurry, right?
Catholic magistrate.
You shaky on my side. Hold on now. I want people to make sure they hear this good. Can you come a little close? I want people to hear you clearly because you're reading. I don't make sure because I don't know if it's on my side because I know if I can't hear you that well, make sure everybody else hear you well too. It's kind of a little,
Can you hear me?
you know what I mean?
Can you hear me?
You sound a little bit. Yeah, you sound a little bit better now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you might be able to run that back just in case so everybody missed anything.
Okay.
You want me to read where you was at just to catch you up? What you want me to do?
No, we good. We good.
All right, cool. You better now though. Go ahead.
All right. Compact between Spain and Portugal, signed by the Catholic monarchs in 1495. Letters of patents by King Henry. But we're going to talk about the privileges and prerogatives granted by the Catholic magistrate to Christopher Columbus, April 30, 1492. Let me make this bigger.
Yeah, make it bigger for the people.
Okay, this is from Ferdinand and Elizabeth, King and Queen of Castile, Leon, Aragon, Sicily, Grenada, Toledo, and more. This contract is to show that he wasn't lost, that he was commissioned to come, and that he was given certain privileges once he came and subdued those of the Americas. For as much as Christopher Columbus are going by our command with some of our vessels and men to discover and subdue some islands in the continent, in the ocean, and it is hoped by the God's assistance, some of the said islands and continent in the ocean will be discovered and conquered by your means and conduct. Therefore, it is just reasonable that since you expose yourself to such dangers to serve us, you shall be rewarded. And we are willing to honor in your favor these reasons as was said. Christopher Columbus, after discovering and conquering the said islands and continent in the said ocean, and any of them shall be our admiral of these lands, islands, and continent. You shall also discover and conquer, and that you will be our admiral, viceroy, and governor within them. And for the future, you may call yourself and style yourself being ruler, Christopher Columbus, and your sons and successors in this said employment may call themselves dons, admirals, viceroys, governors, etc. Y'all get the gist of this. This is on line at what you consider Avalon Project. I just wanted to give the beginning part of it. It is signed by the King and the Queen. This next one is just to show who came. And this is the treaty between Spain and Portugal concluded at Victoria, February 19, 1524. We have seen an instrument of agreement and treaty made in our name by Negr0 de Catarina, our Grand Chancellor, and Don Fernando de Vega, Chief Knight Commander of the castle, and Don Garcia de Padilla, Chief Commander of the Order of Calatrava. In the name of God Almighty, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Of course, they kept it religious. Be it manifest that known to all who shall see this public instrument, that in the city of Victoria on the 19th day of the month of February in the year of our nativity and our Savior Jesus Christ, 1524, in the presence of me, Francisco de los Cobos, the Majesty's Secretary and Notary Republic, and the undersigned witnesses, there being presented the Lords Mercurio de Catanara, Grand Chancellor of the Magistrates, Don Hernando de Vega, Chief Knight Commander of the Castle and of the Order of Santiago, Don Garcia de Padilla, Chief Knight Commander of the Order of Calatrava. Now, these orders we speak prior about the Order of Santiago, how they came. The Order of Santiago was pivotal in what we consider Brazil, Portugal, Spain, all the Caribbean, even Florida, and up to the East Coast. So I just wanted to give you the nights. El Negro Nino. This is the navigator. El Negro Nino, the navigator and his brothers.
Wait a second, though.
What happened?
Wait.
I know you wanted to say something about the back. Want me to go back a little bit?
No. Stay right there. El Negro, I wanted to pause right there. This is part one. You know what I mean? We went, and I want people to be just sure, because I remember us doing it. So I'm walking people, catching everybody up, synopsis wise, right? So we just got through showing people that is word El and Negro, which the word El means D. You know what I'm saying? The. You know, I know some Moorish folk out there gonna be like, the L means God. You feel me? But anyways, though, in this situation, the Negro, Nino. You know what I'm saying? El Negro. Why you went away from it? Why you pulled it down? Keep it up for the folk to see. You gonna read something?
Up?
No, it went down.
Oh my God, hold on.
You took it down. I want people to see that shit. Yeah, because it's El Negro, Nino, in this time frame, like Nino Brown. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Browns out there. But in this situation, it's kind of interesting that he got the El Negro on the Columbus boat. He got this term being applied to him. And then you got another whole situation with Yaya, as some people will call. You got an echo because you got another joint up. You got another. Yeah, shoot. You got another. You got to close one of your mics. Close that bottom one. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right, bet. It went. I'm making sure they go away echo wise. All right, so yeah. So with the El Nino that you got up here, an El Negro connection of Yaya, and you just got to read Order of Santiago. You know what I'm saying? So we know that from 11th century, you got a El Negro term being used by the Portuguese king bestowing Yaya Ibn Yaish. That's the other name you will use for him. Coined also as Yaya El Negro. And then he's the first one to set up the Order of Santiago. Him. Am I right about that? Everybody we showed it earlier. I want everybody to catch up just in case you don't know. El Negro, right? So we got El Negro in the 11th century, by the way, by King Alfonso I, using the term for a person named Yaya Ibn Yaish of the Order of Santiago. For those who might not understand what that means the Order of St. James. Now, we ain't talking about the James, the brother of the Lord. Some people, as Christians, Jesus Christ, not his brother. We talking about, John and James and John. You know what I'm talking about? Zebedee, for those in the book. Now, keeping moving forward though. El Negro Nino, you want to get to this part because he's now being used with Columbus time
El
in 1492.
Negro, he was the navigator in the Armada. And the Nino brothers actually had their own ships. When you check them out, they had their own ships and they were actually navigating for a minute. Pedro Alonso Nino was a Spanish explorer known as El Negro, a native of Magor, Spain. Nino acted as the pilot of the Santa Maria during the first voyage of Christopher Columbus. In 1499, Nino and Christopher Guerrero received mission, that's his brother, from Bishop Juan Rodriguez y Fonseca to explore the Gulf of Paria. On the island of Margarita, they bartered for a considerable quantity of pearls and then made their way to Cuba Guam Islands, which they believed to be part of terra firma. They there traded a substantial amount of pearls and returned to Spain in April 1500s, only to be imprisoned for allegedly concealing part of their wealth they had acquired in the New World. Nino was exonerated of all charges, set free, and gained fame in participating in one of the most lucrative voyages in the New World. Now, that's just to show you that the ships were manned by, and when you get into Nino, he was considered, him and Luis de Torres, which is the interpreter. Luis de Torres, they were all Jews. They were all black Jews who they considered conversos or Moranos, converting to Catholic to be part of the expedition. These are Portuguese Jews, and the Spanish monarchs and Spanish kings are baptizing them and changing their name to be part of the expedition, because at this time, all black Jews are being expelled. Now we get to America. This is one El Negro Dorado. There's a very shady history about him, and they try to hide some things, but if you dig deep enough, you can get it. He was an Afro-Portuguese conquistador. That means in the conquest, supposedly born in Angola, when it was under Portuguese rule. He first shows up documented as being baptized in Seville, Spain at the age of 15. Then he shows him traveling to America at the age of 22 years old as a soldier to Domingo Hispaniola in 1501. Remember, they came in 1492. 10 years later, in 1502, a lot of ships is coming to America, and Juan Dorado is on one of them. He was part of the invasion of Puerto Rico in 1507 and in Cuba in 1508. In 1513, he joined Ponce de Leon entourage in search of gold in Florida. The indigenous warriors made quick work of him, and the conquistadors sent them pushing off into the coast of Florida. He returned to Cuba and began planting, and had at least one child there. By 1519, his services was needed by Cortez for the invasion of Mexico, where he participated in the siege of, how you say that?
Teotihuacan. That's how I would say it. Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan. T. Enoch Chichilan. You know what I'm saying? With however variation of how you want to. And just because you're a little choppy, man, let me know where you want me. Because you're a little choppy and you're reading this. And since you're showing the screen, let me know. I'll plug in with you. Because you navigate me where you want to go.
Read this part and it will change my headphones. Read this part.
Yeah, no pressure. All right, so it says he married and settled in Mexico City and is known to be the best first planter from Spain to mass produce wheat, which would be shipped back to Spain. He also commanded a ship in the Spanish fleet into Western Mexico and to the Pacific Ocean in search of Cibola. Okay, Garrido spent 6 years in Hispaniola. The Spanish government allowed the conquistadors to take land, people, and treasure. This was the crown's attempt to convert the world to Catholicism. In the 1508, he joined Juan Ponce de Leon. That's down here by me. I'll be riding down the street all the time, Ponce de Leon, by the way. And it says on his mission to search for gold in Puerto Rico. Once there, Ponce de Leon settled and became governor on the island. Garrido stayed with him and fought alongside the Spanish against the natives who revolted in 1511. After Ponce de Leon lost his position to Diego Columbus in 1513, he took Garrido and others to look for another treasure island. Instead, they found Florida. You heard me? Shout out to Florida. You heard me? By the way, you know, our hockey team and our basketball team is in the finals. Anyways, though, or Eastern Conference at least, you know, in the situation where I was at, though the claimed and named the land, they were ill-equipped to fight the Florida natives. Shout out to all the Tacoma, I'm gonna go there. They left Florida with plans to return to conquer it by 1519. Garrido was the veteran conquistador. He was a member of the Hernan Cortez expedition that invaded Mexico. You mixed the X right there, by the way. You see, you missed it. Anyway, and laid siege to the Aztec capital at Teotihuacan. After watching and surviving the slaughter of Cortez troops in 1520, Garrido helped collect the remains of Spanish soldiers. He also helped erect a commemorative chapel near the site of the slaughter. For this service, Garrido was given property on a dried-out lake pad outside the former Aztec capital in 1522. He became a farmer, I'm going to say it like that, and was one of the first cultivators to harvest wheat in America. His wheat production, along with grapes, was in direct response to Spanish secular and religious settlers in Mexico. Garrido married and settled in Mexico City. Together, Garrido and his wife had 3 children. And that right there, as it says there at the bottom in highlighted blue, a black conquistador in Mexico, Hispanic American Historical Review, Duke University Press. Just to let you know the source. You heard? You want to slide? You can keep it moving for me now. I'm ready to ride. You heard? I want to get this trail on the way, get them the pictures. No, let me go back up. Let me see the pictures one more time. Let me see that real quick. Go back up a little more. Let me see the whole thing. I see different shades. We see a couple of them got them. They even colored them in though. Them people definitely swarthy. You hear me? At the bottom, you hear? They're swarthy people. Some very swarthy people. Yeah. See that rabbit?
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
That's from the codex right here to the left. You see it?
Yeah. That's hot. That's hot.
So y'all can freeze the frame and check the codex.
Now, in context, you want me to go ahead? I see these 2 different joints before. Where you want me to go? 1 or 2?
No, we're gonna skip to his
Charles V?
Yeah, his letter. This is his letter to Charles V.
Yeah, let's go there. All right, bet money. All right, it says, I, Juan Garrido, black in color, resident of this city, Mexico, appear before your mercy and state that I am in need of providing evidence to the perpetuity of the king. A report on how I served your majesty in the conquest and pacification of this new Spain from the time when the Marquis del Valle, parentheses as Cortez, entered it. In his company, I was present at all invasions and conquests and pacifications which were carried out, always with the said Marquis, all of which I did at my own expense without, don't move too fast, being given either salary or allotment of natives. It says, Requiramiento de Indios. There's a document, by the way, called the Requiramiento. I'm tripping. Wait a minute. He caught me. Got a green, always catch me. See, that shit caught me. But there is a document called the Requiramiento of 1510. But anyway, this is say Repartmento. Yeah, it caught me though. You caught me. I appreciate you. Your Repartmento de Indios or anything else. And then it says, as I am married and a resident of this city where I have always lived, and also as I went with the Marquez del Valle to discover the islands, which are in part of the Southern Sea, the Pacific, where there was much hunger and privation. And also as I went to discover and pacify the islands of San Juan, Burraquin, de Puerto Rico, and also as I went on the pacification and conquest of the island of Cuba with the Adelantado, that's how I pronounced it, Diego Velázquez. I promise you I'll be messing up their names. Shout out to my folk, that's Spanish shit. You know how it is down here in Florida. I be messing up your names. They'll be mad at me. In real time, we mess up their names. I ain't gonna lie. This is legit. You know what I mean? But it's not out of bad intent. You know what I'm saying? In all these ways, for 30 years, I have served and continue to serve your majesty. This is for these reasons, stated above, I do petition your mercy. And also, because I was the first to have the inspiration to sow wheat here in New Spain and to see if it took, I did this, experimented at my own expense. This is going back to your boy, though, who you've been talking about.
So, and this is why I said it was in here. He's reaching out to Charles V, which is Carlos Quintos, the king. But he also says in there, where I have always lived. This is why I said his first 15 of his years of his life are very shady, and it seems that he was always on this side, but they gave him a backdrop story of Angola and Portugal. But this is also at Duke University Press. So this was the first that we just showing you. Juan Garado was what do you consider black today? We're going to use that terminology. And he was a conquistador, and he was on many of ships and excursions. He also built this church that you see. Now, there's also a story with this. It's called the Church of San Hipólito. Now, they say he built the church on the same spot 30 years later, and it wasn't as magnificent. They broke it down and then created this church. But I suppose that they just didn't want his name going down in history for this great-ass church that is still sitting there today. So they supposedly built a better church on the site. He built it in 1560. They rebuilt it in 1590, supposedly.
Wait a second, though. You just showed on the joint we sliding through right now. You showed El Negro. See all these El Negros, but this El Negro, Juan El Negro Garrido. That's how I pronounced it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know I sound crazy. I feel like I sound crazy saying it.
I do it too. Garrido.
I want to say Garrido, but either way, because I don't know, that's how I feel like it more sound like in my mind. But I'm gonna go off the the letters. However, Garrido, you know what I'm saying, is El Negro building this structure. You know what I mean? Dealing with the Portuguese, right? In the Spanish.
1550.
Yeah.
Now he's also he was also let me see. Oh, this is another person. I skipped something.
Wait a second. That's a whole nother El Negro?
Yeah.
His name very close. Man,
you know why? Everyone that's taking
a lot of Negroes.
Listen, everyone that's taking the baptism damn near is becoming Juan, which is John. Remember, they dealing with that Juan and John. So you get Juan Garcia, Juan Garado, Juan this, Juan that. These are all Jews that converted over and they get receiving a new name.
But
I also wanted to I didn't put it in here, but he was actually the supreme guardian of the Mexican aqueduct. So they were from that too. Not only built that church, he was the supreme guardian of the aqueduct. So that's the first that we wanted to show. The second one is Juan El Negro Garcia de Moro Pizarro. You want to get this one?
Yeah, I'm ride on it. All right, so Garcia was recruited to join Pizarro's expeditions in 1530 in Trujillo, Extremadura, Spain. He left his wife and his 2 daughters in Spain to cross the Atlantic. Historians know through licenses that by the 1550s, at least 3,000 blacks had participated in the conquest of Peru. These figures do not count the numerous Africans taken through the unofficial channels. Garcia held the post of crier and piper, and his occupations largely reserved for blacks in New Spain. He was also appointed the master of weights, the latter position is significant, as his job was to weigh the vast gold and silver found within the conquered Inca Empire. Master of weights was an unusual responsibility given to black men at that time. In return for his services, Garcia received the footman's share of gold and silver at Coahuila. This is in 1531. And this is the Cajamarca in 1553. In the Cusco in 1534. The Cajamarca was one of the at least 107 black amongst the conquistadors. There he purchased an enslaved indigenous Nicaraguan woman. That Garcia was a black slaveholder demonstrated the complexity and fluidity of racial hierarchy in the early Spanish America. In 1534 and 35, Garcia was one of the founding citizens of the Spanish Cusco. Although many Spaniards sought their fortunes in the Americas with the intentions to return to Spain, few actually made the return voyage. And certainly, it is safe to assume that many blacks also wished to return to the African homelands after the atrocities of the Middle Passage, but few had made the means to do so. Stop right there. Hold on now.
Yeah, stop right there, because he's never.
Hold on.
He's never an African. He's a Portuguese.
Wait. You heard Middle Passage? Munta was just talking about the Middle Passage just a minute ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Middle Passage comes back up. This ain't the British. Nothing in here that you just missing dealing with any slave trade in the Middle Passage of this term being used is dealing with anything of the British. The British are not involved at all. 1536, the British don't come here. King James VI don't come here. The 8 Lord Proprietors that he sent here don't come here until 1605. Documented.
1605 and 1619, Middle Passage.
So that Middle Passage got to be different from this Middle Passage because this ain't the same Middle Passage. You feel me? That these El Negros came through. I'm just saying in general, like just for everybody to caught that part. I want to make sure they said atrocities of the Middle Passage. I had to stop. It says Juan Garcia was the exception. Right, but I'm saying is it's two different groups of people that they're talking about because at this time frame, I'm saying that again. The Middle Passage was from the 1500s to the 1800s, you said, right? All right, so this Middle Passage that people be talking about and trying to lump it all together, they're not the same situations. As far as a passage goes.
And they different kingdoms.
Not the same shit. I'm saying, because this is El Negro going through the passage. He's dealing with silver and gold. I know some of these people, I know he's weighing silver and gold going through the Middle Passage. That's what I'm trying to say.
All the silver.
This is a black man that's going through the Middle Passage, and he's not a slave. He's benefiting from the trade system that's coming out of the Middle Passage. Am I not comprehending that right?
Facts.
Okay, so that's why I want people to understand and come hear what I'm saying right now. He's not in the position that the narrative we said earlier of all black people coming over from white man just doing this is clearly showing you something totally different. This is the Portuguese and the Spanish time frame. We ain't even got the French doing their thing yet like that. You heard?
Nope.
So
and the big point that you made,
no Dutch either. Go ahead.
Is that he is in charge of weighing all of the gold and silver and minerals that are coming in. You wouldn't give that to a white conquistador. You have a whole bunch of people that you painted white. You wouldn't give that power to them. You would give it to a Negro from Spain.
Right. Come on, bro. They need to stop the cap. Stop the cap. That's all I got to say. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna play with y'all with this because El Negro. He don't look that bad.
The sources is up there, so anyone can screenshot, stop it, run the sources,
get it. You know what I mean? Yeah, we pausing so you can get what you need to get because we're gonna do. I don't know how many parts of this series is gonna take place because we got so much information on the Negro. That's why Obama, you should have got rid of the word Negro. You should have uplift the American Negro community and the people that had interesting information of ties and what took place even from the 1492 period the word Negro is being used, going all the way into, right, today's time. Right now, we still use the word. That word African fits certain people. Yes, it does. You feel me? I'm not knocking that part. Don't get me twisted. But we know good and well that everybody that's coming through what they call this situation in immigration or prisoners of war or exiled groups of people that's coming into the Americas over this time frame as well, that might have be tied to being today called a Negro in their lineage on paperwork, doesn't mean that they came out of that territory called Africa in the slave trade.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Go ahead,
show
though.
you. So we showed the first two just to show two people coming over from Spain who they still try to give a little African backdrop but have no Africa in their history. Now we show two that is here in America prior to this, and they're coming over. Enrique Diaz was a Knight of the Supreme Order of Christ. This is the repackaged order of the Knights Templar. For those that know about the Knights Templar, they were disbanded or banished in the year 1312, and they repackaged themselves under what they considered the Knight of the Supreme Order of Christ. He was born in 1575 in Brazil. Enrique Diaz, black military leader during the 17th century Portuguese campaign against the Dutch. Now you got the Dutch coming in at this time in the 1500s and 1600s, and they're basically trying to get a foothold in South America because everyone's looking for the 7 cities of gold.
That part.
So, yes. So although it is unknown whether or not he had ever been a slave, Enrique Diaz was a free and literate man when he volunteered for service in 1633. At this time, the Dutch were expanding their occupation of Pernambuco beyond the coastal towns of Recife and Olinda, and would eventually overtake large portions of the northeastern captaincy of what we consider South America. Initially, he was a captain of a small force. Diaz later commanded over 300 men of color, some who were slaves, some who wasn't. But in 1636, he was a master of the guerrilla tactics that were then the basis of the Luso-Brazilian strategy against the Dutch. His skills as a military tactician were evident in all of his engagements, which ranged from his participating in the defense of Salvador, the capital of Bahia, in 1638, to his role in the campaign to recover the territory in Alagosa in 1639. Returning to Pernambuco in 1645, Diaz resumed his part in the fight against the enemy, eventually traveling to Rio Grande do Norte, but where he and his men took over a Dutch fort in 1647. By 1648, he was in Olinda, where he would fight. His fighting prowess contributed to the defeat of the enemy. Finally, he fought in the front lines to recapture Recife in January 1654. Going back to how he got knighted, in 1638, for example, King Philip IV awarded him a knighthood in the order of the Supreme Order of Christ, which is the Knights Templar, a highly unusual status for a man of African descent. Now you see that he was born in America. He was born in, he had nothing to do with Africa, but they still like to give the backdrop that all blacks came from Africa and not on this side of the world. But he is a prime example that he's from this side of the world. But the people that are writing this, and encyclopedia.com, the source is down there. We didn't want to change nothing. We wanted to give it to you as it was so that you can decipher the truth within the lies. But he says it was unusual for a man of African descent. In Brazil, Portuguese commander of the court of Toro granted him a patent in 1639 that carried the title governor of all Creoles, blacks, and mulattoes.
Pause right there. Pause right there. Stop right there, bro. Wait a minute. All right, so King Philip the Ninth Make sure I'm right.
Nah, that's the 4th.
I'll be messing up them number rules. I keep it real. I'll be X and the V. My bad.
Well,
Yeah, that's
they
the
got the
4th. That's
1
the
before
4th.
the V,
No, wait,
right?
wait. I had to correct myself first. I be messing up the V's and the X's sometimes with the Roman joints. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
maybe the 10th, no. But
Yeah,
I
that's the
think the
4th.
1,
Though.
yeah.
It's the 4th. But hey, hold up. So King Philip, who's he the king of? So everybody get a backdrop. Who would he the king of?
At this time, he's the king of Spain and Portugal.
King Philip the Fourth.
King Philip the Fourth.
Okay. Now, he awarded in 1638.
1638.
I want people to pay attention to the time frames now. I want people to pay attention. Because look, the 13 colonies at this point is in Virginia on the East Coast. Right? Set up, shop set up. You know what I mean? Virginia
They got
going
20,
up north.
They got 20 years in. They got 20 years in America right now.
Right. 23 to be exact. 38. Just the people to be exact with people out there. So now, but still at the same time, over here, we got this person getting in the status of knighthood in 1638. In Brazil, Portuguese commander Count of Torre granted him a patent in 1639 that carried the title of governor of all Creoles, blacks, and mulattoes. You know, people might get that messed up because they hear mulatto today and they gonna think black and white. This ain't got nothing to do with that.
Nope.
They talking about if you come from Europe or you come from Africa, just in case you don't everybody get offended, and you mix in with an indigenous person from here.
That's a mulatto. It's two mixtures. It doesn't matter. So it can be black and black Indian. It's still a mulatto. So there's different people here, but they're of color, and we know the Creoles. We know the Creoles are definitely of color.
Ain't that something?
Okay, finally in 1656, he traveled back to Portugal. Excuse me, he never went to Portugal. He traveled to Portugal, where in the audience with the court, Diaz requested to receive freedom of all slaves who had served in his Turco unit and the continued existence of his force. He wanted letters of marque from the king, basically saying that all the people that banged with me for these 40 years, 30 years, I not only want them to be free, but continue existence of his force. He want to still operate and do his thing independently, which was to have the rights and privilege of the white unit. So he wanted the same privilege that you giving these whites, which was granted. Though he later died, and much he had been born in relative obscurity, his memory was preserved in the name given to subsequent black militia companies. They were called Henriques. So militias of that time that were popping up would use the letter of marquise. Letter of marquise are just decrees and patents to do what you want. They would call it Henriques.
Wait, stop. Marquise is the title of nobility.
Yeah. He wanted a letter of marquise.
So if you got Marquise in front of your name, your surname and your first name given to you by your, family, lineage, that means you're in the title of nobility. I think that some people might say that's a black European term, Marquise. That's a black nobility term from out of European ancestral words that will be used underneath, nobility. Moors.
They said
nobility.
And just like they said in the beginning, there's no record of him ever being a slave. He was born in Brazil. There's no record of this guy. He steps over after doing all his work for 20, 30 years. He goes over there, gets his letters of marque, his land patents, and rights to continue his privilege of conquering and doing his thing.
That part. Ooh, I don't know if they don't understand what's going on right now. Ooh, no, bring it back down. No, go move fast. I want them to get all this work Feel me? We got time tonight. You know what I mean? We gonna get
And
all
that's
this
from
work, every bit of this.
from the encyclopedia.com. So you can just put Enrique Diaz 1662 on encyclopedia.com. It'll come up. His story, not a word has been changed.
What's this? Marquis? Can you give me this? Get this to him. Hold on real quick. Just pause right there. We're gonna pull up something. Marquis. I want people to this gonna be the word. You feel me? You know, like Mar. I'm a maroon, so I got anything with the M-A-R. I be iterating. I'm like Mar, Mister. You know what I'm saying? Mrs. Shout out to all my missuses out there. You feel me? Mari, Mary, and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? The feminine form, Negr0, that be considered noble black women in the Americas. You know what I'm saying? The matrilineal line. I ain't trying to leave y'all out of this now. Feel me? But we got something for y'all real quick since we talking about Marquis. You know what I mean? And we gonna come right back to this right here, same page where you see where it says, I want to land right back. You see that man's face though? Look at that pinion in that man's hat. That means feather in the hat, by the way. Well, I say pinion. You know what I mean? Like, look at that pinion in that man's hat. That should have been ready. Hold on, though. Hold on. Got something for you. Marquis. Hey, how you say it? Baron P. How you pronounce that? Marquis. Well, am I saying it wrong? I'm saying it right.
I butcher it too.
Like
Don't worry about it. I butcher it
I'm
too.
gonna make sure you feel me.
I call it Marquis.
You know, I've been drinking tequila. Don't get mad at me now. Feel me? Look.
The E in Spanish is like the E in Spanish without it's still like A.
Okay, I'm good then. Cause Spanish, French, all that good stuff. It's all the same to me. You know when it comes to how this Marquis. Okay, Marquez, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of black people with that name, with that Mar in front though. Quez or some kind of variation.
We knew we had one that was in the party.
We know a Quez that was Marquez, exactly. Literally party, yeah, Marquez. Anyways, though, dedicated to Mars, nobleman or lord of the borderlands. I've been telling this word Mar, because I go back to Aramaic. Shout out to Lee Cummins. You go get that dictionary, you feel me? Dealing with the Negroes that were speaking Aramaic. See, the Negroes were speaking Aramaic back in the day. At the same time, though, it says as meaning dedicated to Mars suggests Marquez is a masculine name that truly out of this world is otherworldly connotations. Oh, you see that word connotations haven't won you over. We are sure that it's beautiful Portuguese lit will. Its other definitions include nobleman and lord of the borderlands, meanings that suggest honor and respect. Whatever your reason for picking Marquez for the title, I want to say title so bad. It said, little one, we are sure that they'll grow up to be a successful person for whom the sky is the limit. Shout out to Biggie. At the same time, though, this word is a title. You feel me? At the same time, you see how you were using it. That wasn't the person's name. It was being used as a title. You can go back to his joint. You can pull him back up. I want his joint to go back up there so we can get back to that joint. Nobleman. I've been telling people this word Mar. Feel me? This word Mar. Mr. and Mrs. Take a day out. Think about it. Mar without the vowel. A-E-I-O-U. M-R. Mr. and Mrs. Shout out to Mrs. out there once again. So the Knights of the Supreme Order of Christ, Templars, Indigenous Warrior. Oh, Lord. Go ahead. It's on you, dog. I'm going to let you ride. Go ahead. Give it to him.
Antonio Felipe Camarero or Camarero. I don't know how to say that, but that means shrimp. He was a short guy. Today, a lot of Spanish in Mexico use that term for shrimp. So
Camaro, right? Like the word C-A-M-A-R-A-O?
Yeah.
That means shrimp, right?
That means shrimp.
Bro, I seen that in the store. I swear, I see that in the store. The first time I seen it down here in Florida, they were using that for the big shrimp. You know what I'm saying? A certain type of shrimp, they call it that right there, right there with the N on it, actually. I think they put an N on it. You know what I'm saying? Anybody see? You know what I'm saying, Pete? I swear. The word right there, C-A-M-A-R-A-O-N.
Facts.
All right.
Facts. It's a shrimp. But he was an indigenous warrior with no history of ever being nowhere but in America. Antonio
That's
Felipe.
fucked up. My bad. That's fucked up. I said it again. It wasn't right. They called the man shrimp, dog. He fighting words.
He was short, but he was popping. He didn't have a Napoleon complex.
Mike
He was
Tyson
popping.
like, yeah.
Yeah, he was popping. So Felipe was an indigenous soldier from Portugal tribe near Rio Grande do Norte, an area of Portuguese colony in Brazil. His original tribal name was Pati, which means prawn. Portuguese, Camaro. He was born in the neighborhood of Igapo in Natal, or according to some other historians, in the state of Pernambuco, or in Aldeia Velha. On the occasion of his conversion, because every time they convert, they get baptized and they get a Spanish name and they get to pick it. On occasion of his conversion to Christianity faith on June 13, 1612, the feast of the day of the Saint Anthony, he chose Portuguese version of the name Antonio and the middle name Felipe in honor of King Philip II of Portugal. Adding the Portuguese version of his name Pati, he married the very next day in Capela de São Miguel de Gajuro to a lady from his tribe who also converted to Christianity and took the name Clara. Besides knowing perfect Portuguese, this is 16 and 19. Besides knowing perfect Portuguese, he was also well versed in Latin because he was educated in a missionary school led by the Jesuit monks. In 1630, he fought against the Dutch forces who tried to take over Brazil. He fought them as a leader of an indigenous regiment of various battles until his death in 1648. The last year of his life brought him to the top of his military campaign as leader of the right flank of the United Portuguese Army during the first battle of Garrapatas against General Arquizetwe. That nigga, he sound Jewish like a mo. By the royal decision, yeah, he was fighting this dude and he was pissed at him. By royal decision.
We in the 1630s though. We in the 1630s though. We in the 1630s. Oh, look, the Dutch came up. We in the 1630s though. Oh, by the way, can I get this part real quick? Cause this,
that's who they fighting too, but grab it.
I mean, I want to get this part right here for the people out there that might not know about this. I should have had the book ready. My bad, bro. I apologize. Philly disappointed me today. It messed up a little bit of my inspiration.
I sent it to you, baby.
Don't even talk that shit. You Celtic. It's crazy because if I would have betted you on the Celtic and Philly game, I owe you money right now. It's crazy we doing this bill right now today. After my team, I had thought that was going to beat your team. It's all good, though.
Hey, and what I told you about Boston, I made a bet early in the year that Boston and LA would make it.
You got it. But anyway, we're going to get back to the bill, right? Check this out, right? It says since 1630, he fought against the Dutch forces who tried to take over Brazil. Now, Brazil is Negr0. Feel me? Everybody, I don't give a damn, Dutch, French, Spanish, Portuguese, know that this area called Brazil, based off the Treaty of Tordesillas. Did I say it right?
Yes, you said it right.
I didn't say it right. God agreeing.
I call it the Treaty of the Tortilla Chip.
Listen, God agree for everybody that doesn't really want to know. It's the what? How you say it? Tordesillas.
Tordesillas.
I'm gonna say it slow. I gotta breathe between the joints. You know, feel me? Tordesillas. 1494. You know what I mean? Either way, between Spain and Portugal, which is going to be tied to Brazil, which is the territory that treaty shows that Portugal is literally in control of this particular area of what we call South America, which is also called Negr0, and also shows the proof that in the Portuguese, when they're in West Africa, that they had an area that they're calling what? Negro de Guinea. You see me? I want to make sure that's understood for those out there tied to these other people. These people come over here doing all this stuff right here. We reading. It's all the way in the 1630s. But go ahead, my bro. See, homeboy Antonio throughout this whole thing. Anybody, when we read it, you want to get it?
No, I got you. He was. Oh my God, where it go? Where it go? Okay. He was also a knight commander in the Order of Christ, the most prestigious order of Portugal. He's buried in Varzea in Pernambuco, Brazil, on August 24th, 1648. There are several ways of writing his name in Brazil. For example, it is common to read the name in the archaic spelling, Felipe Camaro, or Antonio Felipe Camaro. Now, this part is basically the last part before we go up and really show you who the Portuguese are, because in our last build we did that, but it's in this paper, so we'll go back up. You want to grab this part? This is just explaining the Dutch West Indian Company and what they were trying to do.
I think because a lot of people conflate about the Dutch. You feel me? They get it's again for all the especially people that's described to being African American in the house manner. You know, I ain't trying to be rude. You know, so I'm saying Negro heads of families, but they like to call themselves Africans. So this is all the great tragedies in the history of Brazil took place between 1624 and 1654, when the Dutch West Indian Company attempted to occupy Portuguese America, with enormous loss of life and property and massive dislocation of populations. At least 10,000 Dutchmen, Germans, Frenchmen, and other Europeans in the service of the company lost their lives, as did, a similar number of opposing Portuguese, Spaniards, and Italians. Untold numbers were maimed. In addition, at least 1,000 Amerindians and possibly an equal number of blacks also died fighting for one side or the other. More than 1,000 ships were captured or sunk during the 30 years of conflict. Several hundred sugar mills were destroyed. Countless cane fields were burned. I put my own word in there for that. The numerous oxen killed. Tens of thousands of inhabitants of the northeastern of northern Brazil were don't move too fast, uprooted and forced to march southward to Bahia or Rio de Janeiro. That's a nice tourist place today, right? Flee into interior or return to the Iberian Peninsula. Sound like some Jews to me. And the economy of the northeastern Brazil was seriously disrupted, and many decades elapsed before parts of the region were restored to normalcy. You want to start there? You want anything you want to say about that?
Nah, just grab this last one and we're gonna go up because we don't gotta give too much on that.
All right, yeah, there's a lot of detail. You know, we get this is a whole dissertation. I'm trying to present you in a certain way, Nanita, because when this actually finishes out with this series, everything you see documented is something that the Autonomous Party has researched, and shout out to Nanita leading it to give us this for us to be able to break this down for y'all like this. You know what I mean? Because we really decided because of what's going on that we want to go ahead and trace the word Negro back to this older origin with real people we can trace, and then trace them all the way into the Americas. You feel me? And we at the 11th century, right? We started back in the 11th century.
Yeah, we're going to show that briefly. That's why I said let's finish this, and I want to give them two parts.
We started back in the 11th century, so don't think we tripping. We've been tracing our Negroes. You feel me? Because Obama got rid of it, so we need to know who these Negroes you want to get rid of. However the case, initially Dutch contacts with Portuguese America were peaceful. And since by the latter decades of the 16th century, despite Spanish Habsburg prohibitions against foreign trade with Brazil, an increasing number of Dutch ships and crews were helping carry cargoes, especially textiles, from Europe to Brazil, returning with sugar and Brazil wood. And by 1621, an estimated 10 to 15 ships were built annually by the Dutch solely for the Brazil trade. By that time, the Dutch controlled about 1/2 or 2/3 of the carrying trade between Portuguese, America, and Europe. The end of the 12-year truce, 1609 to 1621, between the Spanish Habsburgs and United Province of Netherlands, was marked by the founding of the Dutch West India Company, 1621. With the governmental support, the Dutch West India Company and explorers began colonization efforts in Portuguese America, Chile, the Caribbean, Suriname, in the northeastern United States. Shout out to all my Maroons out there.
Shout out to all the Maroons. So what we gave in here is 2 Portuguese blacks and 2 indigenous so-called blacks, just to show that you had them on both sides of the world for one. And we're going to go up to who are the Portuguese at this time and for the 200 to 300 year span of what's going on.
Ooh, look at my coat of arms. Lord.
Oh, yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, we're
this is self-made. We out the mud with this one, y'all. Shout out to 9 Ether. We out the mud with this bill. We've been behind, they say we in the closet. They say y'all niggas in the corner and shit right now. Us Negroes and indigenous folk and Maroons in the closet. I mean, all that bullshit. They be talking shit. But this what we come up with for y'all. Because y'all been talking shit, but we've been building. And this is what we gonna show y'all how we got facts behind our shit. We got documents, sources, and all. If you want smoke.
Okay, so this actual book is free online at archive.org. All you have to do is put in A New Voyage to Italy by Mission Maximilian, 1650 to 1722 he lived. And he's explaining in his book the people of the world and who are they. In this quote, he's really banging on another person that said all the Jews in Rome were black, when he said it's not really true that all of them, just a certain amount in Rome, but he's going to explain who is, basically. So it's tis a vulgar error that the Jews are all black. He's speaking about Rome. Then he says, right. But this is only true of Portuguese Jews who marry always amongst one another, beget children like themselves, and frequently their swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race, even in the northern regions. But the Jews who are originally of German, those, for example, have been seen Prague, are not blacker than the rest of their countrymen. So he's explaining three places.
Hey, wait. Look how that word swarthiness you put there. You see how it's spelled?
Yeah, back then.
I want people to know that's not a typo.
No, that's not a typo. Back then, they used to use F's as S's, just like in the Portuguese up there, they got an F. So they spoke and wrote a lot of the double S's. One would be an F, and then the coming behind to pluralize it would be S.
Yeah, because we had an issue I had to learn. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. Listen, I don't know everything.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to read them old books.
I started research shit. I'm like, that why they got
F's?
It's
hard to read it because you like, why they got all these F's where S is supposed to be? But this is him explaining that the Jews of Portugal are mainly black and they marry amongst themselves. And we showed you 2 Portuguese blacks that came in just to show you that they were part of this Jewish thing. They converted over to be part of an expedition, because at this time, a lot of Jews are being expelled from Portuguese, just like the Moors are being expelled from northern Morocco. So you have 2 expulsions. You have expulsion in 1492 in January. The Moors are being expelled from the Iberian Peninsula, north of Morocco, and even as far as Libya. And 6 months later, in August, you have the Jews being expelled from Portugal. Now, this expulsion of them being expelled, they're basically exiled from this area. This is why a lot of them are coming back over here, because they look at it as a place that they can get a stronghold or at least a buffer period of 100 years before a conquest comes, because they know who's over here and they've been dealing over here. So we're going to go up real quick to show you the 1100s before we try to take...
Show the picture. Like,
which one are you looking at?
Oh, no. Give him that, we had to show him that. Give him that one first. Give him that
one
first.
Give you that.
In the blue.
This is,
for the Louisiana State fans and shit.
This is from the 1300s. We have the lineage of the connecting dots to the 1150s of Yahya el Negro and his descendants. Beatron came from his grandfather's side of the line, and Beatron was a knight of the secret Grail, the Order of the Grail. People call that the Merovingian bloodline and some things. They were protecting Mary's line. He's in France. The Knights Templar was stationed mainly in France. The Order of Santiago, which is their, you might as well say, little brother order, is mainly Portugal.
I want to say one thing real quick too, since you brought up St. James again. You got, to me, some people might prominently because they get caught up in the story, but there's two of them that actually, these Jameses, you know what I'm saying? These Jameses, two saints, the two St. Jameses that needs to really be paid attention to. And I don't hear too many people that call themselves either Yehudi, Jewish, Christian, you know what I'm saying? Use St. James the Just, James the Just, the brother of Jesus, and understand the distinction between
this is not James. We have not found that as the brother. This is James the Greater, the disciple, the apostle, the great one.
And he's Boanerges. He's one of the Boanerges, right? Yes. John and James. I think Preston John is the same person.
It's James' brother.
That James, that's his brother. They just
his brother. They want to play the game.
John and St. James are the brothers.
We're gonna get that.
And they the sons of thunder.
We're gonna crack that code.
I'm striking lightning on this bit today.
We're gonna crack that code.
I'm going to let y'all know that. Just let you know. That's where I'm at with it. So you can look. East and West of the Roman Empire now. Woo, there's a split right there. James and John.
And think about this. Preston John supposedly is born in 1148. Yaya's born in 1150. These are two continents that never cross paths. Why? Two continents.
I don't know. This should get crazy, see.
That never cross paths. So, but we're gonna stay with Beatron. He's French, and he's from the Order of the Grail, which is a stronger order, but he's also flagging the Order of the Knights Templar. But let's get into him real quick. He was a national French hero, an outstanding military leader during the early part of the 100-Year Wars, 1337 to 1453. After attaining the highest military position as Constable of France in 1370, he brilliantly used the strategy of avoiding set battles with the English until the French had sufficient advantage to defeat them soundly. After fighting a duel, a one-on-one, he had a one-on-one with Sir Thomas of Canterbury in the courtyard of what they consider Mary's Castle. We can get into, it's going to come up later on in this series when we jump into that. But they were them two kingdoms did not really want to fight. So Beatron proposed a duel and basically banged against Sir Thomas Canterbury and successfully defended the city of Reims against the English siege in 1356. Beatron was awarded a pension by the Dauphin, the future King Charles V, in December 1357, appointed captain of Pontor's son. He remained in the service of the French royal house of Valois. He fought in many battles from 1359 to 63, being twice taken prisoner and won majority of his victories in 1364, defeating the troops of Charles II, the Bad, King of Navarre, and taking prisoner Jean de Grailly, Captain de Boche, and the allies of English. Jean was another knight against the Order of the Grail, against the Order of Santiago, against the Order of the Knights Templar. This is Beatron the Great. This is his official document. He is, and this is in do I got the book down there? Yes, it's in the Warfare History Network, but where's the book at? It's a great book. We're gonna pull that book up.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah, it's not.
We're gonna have to go out. We can't. We're gonna rush it because we got a whole series on this information. We can't read through this whole thing and give them everything and break it down.
I just wanted to give them.
We're gonna rush it to them. They're gonna rush that.
Yeah, we wanted to give you Beatron and one other piece. But the three to the left, you see the three saint symbols. Those are for the three Judaic kings. Judas of Maccabees, not Judas the traitor. Judas of Maccabees. Yeah, I wanted to say that. King David, and I can't say, King Joshua. So when you see these three in the blue field, it's the French, what you consider the France nobility repping the Lion of Judah. You see in his hand, he has the three saint symbols and the lion in his crest in his left hand and the great sword. So that's Beatron, and that's basically how he looked. If you look at him today, they don't whitewash him.
They whitewashed him.
Beyond control.
They whitewashed him. They whitewashed the Negro. You ain't gonna say African. Wait, give him that. Give him that picture. That's the picture I want them to see. Now go back down. Go on that right there. Show that Negro on that neck. Show that Negro on the neck. Yeah. Show the Negro on the neck. This ain't Django, but we're gonna show the Negro. Yeah, you see how you put on him like Finding Waldo. You feel me? Show this city in this time frame one more time for these people too. Then sometimes they need to see in this time frame how they painted it. You know, people might need to. Oh, you skip what happened.
Okay, this is Portugal. This is a painting called the King's Fountain that is sitting in a house of Santiago of what we consider the Caucasian side. It's still in Portugal, and it's on the wall. And the knight right there, I originally thought it was Yahya, but it's actually King Alfonso I, which is Yahya's uncle.
Right.
Which is Yahya.
Not Yahya, but that's the king right there on the neck.
That's the king.
That's that king on the neck.
This one right here might be Yahya. I'm going to give him some props. I should have drawn this one because he got the Santiago cross. I should have put it on his back. But if you look at in here, you got King Alfonso. You have other knights out here. And it's basically painting the scenery of Portugal. You see a black guy here. You see some Caucasians here. You got a guy.
There's a lot of those people there, though.
I don't know what
Portugal.
He had his face knocked off. I don't know what happened to him.
Nice of Santiago.
So you have different characters all over the place. And
all over the place.
It's multiracial. It's multiracial.
Very much so.
They don't have the beautiful thing, which is the worst thing, is they don't have the name of the artist, because then you'll be able to search all his paintings. So they also say that they don't know. It's an unknown artist. But you see a guy getting arrested. He's a brown guy. He's getting arrested. The girl behind him might be his wife. She over there like, what y'all doing? He did something.
Negro's been going through it, you heard? You know, either way though. I mean, because on part 2, because we ain't gonna rush them tonight. We're gonna slide. Happy Mother's Day again. Shout out to all the.
Hold on. You see this guy over here? This one guy.
Negress watching this.
You see this guy trying to kick it? He's trying to kick it over the wall to the black girl. You see my cursor? He's trying to kick it. But we're gonna end right here because we want to go up to what's the name and just show Yahya real quick.
Yeah, give him that Yahya. So people got to be reminded. You know what I mean? 1150. The person that all this is connected to, or that Santiago, or that St. James, the greater, not the just. These are Negroes.
Let me see.
So next week, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna not next week, but I'm gonna say the next time we do the series, just in case anything happens. I'm gonna bring up the other James and show you some stuff with that. You know what I mean? So you can get the understanding that there are 2 different Jameses. And why don't people bring up James? Damn, James.
I don't know, but this is Yahya's bloodline. We're gonna leave it here so you can snapshot it. But this is Martin Muñez, the knight. Martin is right here to the right. To the left on your screen. He marries 2 women. This is how the connection goes. He marries right across to him Elvira Unisec Nunez Cisanan, which is Yahya El Negro's grandmother. Then he marries Teresa Alfonso, which is I think King Alfonso V or VI's daughter. They have a son called Alfonso I, the Conqueror, which you've seen that we say Enrique Alfonso is the knight in the fountain, in the King's Fountain picture. But I'm going to leave that up there because this is to the left, his grandfather, to the right, his grandmother. Under his grandmother is Miss Beth Cincinan, Cheoma Gomez, which is Yaya's mother. Excuse me. This is their grandmother. Yaya's mother comes right under that, and she gives birth to Yaya's father. And then you have Don Yaya El Negro, which we were speaking about down to the bottom right. And basically his whole upper echelon of his family, especially, this is his mother's side, but on his father's side, you can forget it. This is the year 1100 we're looking at here. And Yaya was born in 1150. Martin was a great knight, and he was actually killed in a siege of one of the great castles of St. George. And he was fighting Muslim black Moors. So basically, this is the Order of Santiago El Negro from 1100s, all the way that you see this Order of Santiago setting up the 7 cities of gold and the 7 ports of Santiago, city of Santiago in Jamaica, city of Santiago in Chile, city of Santiago in Cuba, city of Santiago in Boricua, city of San Diego, which is Santiago in California, and one more that I can't think about.
There's too many in the name. I've seen some more too. I want to go in. Like we're going to like in the series of the El Negro, because without having to get into no religious type of thing, so people might favor different things in the El Negro's religious background. But at the same time, we want to just deal with the history of the El Negro. You feel me? And the markers showing that the fact that it makes it on the records of Negro has a state. You know what I'm saying? Feel me, God? Negro has a state. Carter G. Wilson. You know what I mean?
Negro has a state.
You know what I mean? It makes it all the way.
Shout out to Lee Cummins. Get the
Lee
book
Cummins,
series. He got 1 through 8. The Negro Question. Go online and cop that. He shows the black nobility as the kings in the 1700s. And we're here to bring up the knights and the nobility from the 1100s so we can meet him straight on.
We're gonna clash into the 13th colony Negro shit. You feel me? But we're gonna let Lee Cummins give that to you because it's already laid out. So we're just gonna give you this and show you the Negro term from its origin that we can find it at that makes like trackable sense going into the Americas. Tap in with us. God, 90. I think everybody that pulled up on us tonight, you know what I'm saying? We might run it back. You never know. Depending on how this shit work out, our schedules and shit. We might try to run this back. You know what I mean? I got some guests we working on for the month of May. You know how we do. Every Sunday we try to do something different to give a little different touch to what we're doing as a program, a network. Shout out to the network, because we technically a network. You see, you got different people pull up on us. We started as a show, but now we got a network. You know what I mean? So you got to tap in, subscribe, like, and share type thing. You know what I mean? Go to theautonomousparty.com. You know what I mean? We got, shout out to TriBiz. They let us slide on their documentary they got going on, a docu-series, 1968 joint. You know what I mean? We on that joint. You know what I mean? We tapping in with different networks and allying with people that's tapping into our information. Not my information, our information. You know what I mean? Autonomous Party. You know what I mean? That's how we doing it. 90, hold on. We want to
give a shout out to the chat. APTV, of course. Elizabeth White Magpie, excuse me, I messed that up. She was on the show earlier. Tap in on that show. Shout out to Sherry, Autonomous Party, my man Signature on site. Who else we got in here? Big Rob, Big J showed up, Big J.O., Cottrell, Monte, More Than Bree, Big More Than Bree out here. Shout out to everybody that came by and listened in and tapped in. Like, subscribe, and share. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Shout out to God of Green. Shout out to God of Green in the back doing this thing.
Yeah, God of Green, man. He like Batman. He don't like to show himself. We'll show you. You know, remember you Batman. You Batman. Okay. Got a green. You feel me? He right here. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to God Green, man. He don't ever be showing his face and shit, be chilling and shit. But everything in the background, run off that man right there. That ain't gonna lie. I gotta give you,
Shout
feel
out to
me? Be
Florida.
smiling, you know, you feel
Shout
me,
out to
dog? You feel me?
FLA,
Yeah.
Florida.
Don't ever think we ain't hiding nobody. They want Baron P. He on the cut right there too. You feel me? Got the people in the room.
They down there in Florida where they try to take over. They ain't let them happen.
Hey, don't man. Hey, DeSantis, he made a bad decision. Okay, I was saying recently, politically, what he just did. We're going to see what happens in the next few months, but it don't look good based off how they're showing it right now. Because a lot of Mexicans and what they would call people that's not residential immigrants are leaving Florida right now. They're sliding. Okay, slide.
That's still, hold on, but that's still my boy. That's still my boy. He keep banging against the COVID and all that other stuff. That's my boy.
Hey, look, listen. That's that's why. Since we talking about this real quick, we slide. That's why when it comes down to us dealing with like the historical part, and then how we're like right now, we got people like DeSantis in my state. You know what I'm saying? I'm in Florida, right? And what he just did, certain things he do, I'll be like, okay, I like that part. But other things he do, I'll be like, man, why you do that? You know what I'm saying? The California shit is the same way. You got a governor. He might have did some shit that everybody in the state liked, but it's some shit that now the black people that looking for reparations, you know what I'm saying, and thought that the task force in California was going to fit the bill. You know what I mean? Their state, you know what I mean, governor were like, we ain't got nothing to do with that, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go off each state you're in, and that's why at the same time I still don't. I don't know, you got to deal with this shit from the state level if you wherever you at. First off, if you're gonna be a citizen of it, and at the same time of it, you know, change your state by state. You're going state to state, dolo. You feel me? Like Method Man and Belly. But we gotta be real, like on real time, right? California, what they did with the task was the comparison with the DeSantis just did, and he passed that bill. And when he passed that shit now, Mexicans have stopped working. All the construction sites in Florida have been vacated. You know what I mean? People have been riding by construction sites this whole week.
You better holler at some of them brown. You better holler at some of them.
And they vacated. You heard me? Like, look. They vacated down here in Florida. All the spots, like all the, you know what I mean? You thought they were just some regular, Cubans and, you know what I'm saying?
Matt,
all these spots, dog.
The Negroes better get in line. Matt, the Negroes better get in line, bro.
And for the Negroes out there, they say you ain't got no work. They hiring. They hiring. Look. Hit your construction company in your local area in Florida. You heard me? Go check out what's going on. If you're trying to get some money, you ain't got no job. Just in case, you know what I mean? Because they gone. A lot of these people slide. You feel me? Either way, though. The price on production and paying, though, because, the Negro ain't going to get paid what the Mexican got paid. You hear me? So, they're going to ask for more money. Niggas ain't doing that in 21st century, right? I'm just saying. So the budget is going to go, the budget messed up because you're going to spend more money just to get the job done. They're going to give it to another foreign group. They're going to give it to another foreign group. And they're registered, so they're going to take the money anyway because you got housing anyway set up for them through the benefits of being immigrants coming in. I ain't going to go into all that tonight because Negroes is what we were talking about. So, Nine Ether, though, tap in, man. Tell me what you want to say before we get out of here, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
Till next time. Man. Just tap into the next one. That's it. And do your genealogy. Genealogy is the key. You trace your ancestors. They might be free Negroes of color in the 1500s, 1600s. You might find a connection to some of these people that came by on the paternal or the maternal side. You might find that you're part of Beatron the Great's people, Yaya's people, or you might be in Negroes. You might be all over the place, but genealogy is the key. Shout out to Opie Miha and the brothers and sisters that do that genealogy hard.
Heavy. And no, really, don't sleep on us, though. We doing a thing. And I see somebody in that chat, matter of fact. Who was it? Somebody said, Jay what? Jay Splash? Jay Splash asked, where Lee Cummins? He said, where Lee Cummins? What he said?
He coming.
Oh, we got Lee Cummings. Pause. We got Lee coming. You heard me? Pause.
He be here.
No. Like no. You know what I'm saying? He is coming. You hear me? That's his name. So I gotta say how
not
it is.
one time. Not one time.
And when the series start, and when the series start, we talking right now, and it pop off about the Negro questions and answers. We don't want no pressure unless you got your sources to back up what we got. You know what I mean? We loaded over here. You hear me? Here, Thomas Park. We covering all four corners. Shout out to my indigenous people. Shout out to my Maroons, and definitely shout out to my Negroes. You heard me? Tap in. Till next time, and see you next week. Shout out to Baron P. Shout out to God of Green. Shout out to Super Blaze. Shout out to everybody at Social Club. You already know what it is. Peace and love. You already know what it is. Happy Mother's Day one more time for all the ladies out there.
Mothers and the matriarchs.
Shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to all the ladies in the party. You heard? Shout out to all the people that's tapping in. Y'all have a good night. Until next time. Peace.